everyone, the following video is a recording from our second Artist Feedback AMA session featuring pre-minted NFT editions. This session was held in the MetaJungle Discord on June 2nd and hosted by talented photographers Mike Schmidt and Samia Brada. We want to thank Mike and Samia for their time in reviewing 9 different pre-minted NFT editions, as well as everyone who submitted their work for review and everyone that was able to attend. There was a lot of really valuable information shared in this in regards to NFT editions, and we hope you all find it useful. With that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
And I will just say that we have, let's go up here. We have Sammy with us today, and Sammy Brada, and he has done really, really well in this edition market so far with his Split Stories collection, which is super impressive, where he takes 2 different scenes and he combines them into to one beautiful story. And I've seen it done, but I haven't seen it done quite at the level that Sammy has done it. And he's got a really, really great eye for beauty and life and how to connect these 2 stories to make one. And so we have him here as a co-host, host. I'll just call him a host today, and we're really glad to have him. And he's done sort of what's like similar in a sense to what I've done with my edition series, where it's actually an ongoing collection of editions. And there's a lot of people that are interested in doing that now. And so to have Sammy here, who has been successful with his, and me, who's been successful with mine, 2 really good people to be able to help people that are pre-minting and getting involved in this. So thanks a lot for being here today, Sammy, and putting together a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. Glad to have you.
Mike, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you and of course the entire community, because this is how we learn. Even when we were discussing all these pointers, we were going through each and every collection. We also learned a few things that a few people are doing, and see, even you and I might have had a successful first half of our launch, but this entire journey goes on, and this journey is nothing, it's incomplete without our community members. And so I would say thank you to you and MetaJungle for having me for this session, and hopefully the next 2.5 hours or 3 hours would be really productive for all of us. Let's begin.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. It always is. I think every AMA since we started, maybe we're at 40 now, maybe there's more, between all the people that we have helping host and co-host, that I think every single AMA session that people have been helped out. Like, and it's cliche, they say this, if one person's helped out and one changes one person's life or the course of their body of work or their series, then it's certainly worth it. And it's entertaining to do it. It's interesting to do it. We all love art. All of the hosts and co-hosts art. I'm sure everyone who attends loves art. So cool. With that, let's get into it. So as you can see, this original tab here, I have a PDF file open with sort of all the entries that got put into this, and all these other links that I have here are links that are these artists' other bodies of work, so that we could take a look at how they've done in the past with some of their one-of-ones, and get an idea as to what their other work looks like. And if it's a pre-mint, maybe they could be using a stronger image that they have out there that maybe they haven't noticed. And so we got all. Who's that? Who's that?
Just chilling a bit. We'll be working over the weekend. But I had
Someone's got an open mic. That's fine. Okay. And so first we'll start with this is Srinivas Yenny. I believe I said that right. And so editions by Yenny is a collection which consists of editions of my favorite photos. I am a self-taught travel photographer based in India. Most of my photographs are based on street life portraits, cultural events. Evening chaos sun is sinking behind hills, casting his final rays before he seizes his duty. Evening has arrived. This evening, stressing down the heat, unfolding the carpet of calmness and tranquility. people rushing to their own, all in motion, the sun, the wind, the people. Nothing can pause them. But my click statued them here. I have captured this image at Hampai during sunset hours on Hemakut Hill, where school students rush towards Sunset Point to witness. So, just before we get into anything, both me and Sammy thought it's a very beautiful image. I talked about how, it has this, got this sort of eerie feel to it. I like the movement. You could really feel the movement in the image here. Love how everything is none of the people in the image are overlapping, and they have this, they almost feel like entities in a sense, because or spirits and souls just floating on through. And what is it in focus? The tree and the starlight coming through. I think it's really gorgeous. You have any other? How do you feel about the image, Sam? You like it too?
See, as a standalone image, I obviously love it because it has that motion in it. It has that starburst in it. It means that photographer has almost everything going in a street photograph. That's what we call it. But having said that, I would like to point you or everybody in this particular chat to the other editions that this photographer had done before, right?
Sure.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So let's go to that the editions by Srini folder. Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
So
if you see, yes. So if you see these two pictures, both of them are quite strong. That's what I see. The first one actually sold out because I'm also a collector of this particular image, and Mike also loved it. Um,
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and just look at that reflection on that mirror. It's and the grunginess, everything about this photograph is so beautiful. Now, the scene is that what I observed very carefully is that the other photograph in this particular series or of editions that Srinivas has put up, this one could not sell. I all of us could see that this is like all the images that are there are airdropped the previous collectors because this could not sell. This was precisely what we talked about is because two edition pieces were dropped just simultaneously. One got sold off and probably Srinivas just dropped off another edition just after that, which is not a very good practice because you have to give some time between two drops. You have to think about the secondary, etc., etc. But what my point here is, Mike, think
Mm-hmm.
about the image that we just saw. Okay.
Very, very
And
different. Very different.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, very different to
Not
what
not not
these
a
two are.
bad image. Not a bad image at all. It just would feel strange if it was minted within that same collection. So, um, minting this would be probably a better idea to create a new body of work in which suits, if you're going to do collection based, which the last one sort of feels a bit collection based because you got black and white theme going, you have the figures, that this would feel a bit off within the same collection of that. I will say, although I do really like this image, um, I think that his first image is actually the strongest and the one that's done, the most well because we have 19 owners here, and Sonny even owns two of them. A lot of people in here, that Spode, Leslie Spurlock, some names in here, Alpha, Zach, a lot of people that Sammy, a lot of people that I really respect, and obviously it's a fantastic image, and so this was looks like it was easily able to sell out. You can see all these are sales. Not many of these are really airdrops. A couple of them are, but did really, really well. So taken with that, knowing that this is 20, that he used 20 here. Let's take a look and see what he's doing here. So 20 again at 0.03, right? And so that was it similar here? Yep, they started at 0.03. So the idea would be that, I guess would try to make the same sort of sellout. So my biggest concern, which I think is similar to your concern, Sammy, is the releasing of edition after edition without maybe enough time in between. And so if you want to elaborate further on that here, so we're looking at two images here, but we've only got a total volume traded of 0.54, and that's because this Into the Light wasn't able to pick up as much traction as the original image that I think is actually a much stronger image. And I think that we jumped into this one maybe a little bit too soon. And so, being an impatient person myself, I'm learning from I'm learning from my own, because listen, we're in a market right now where the morale is down quite a bit because ETH and Bitcoin are doing their thing, and we go through these cyclical phases where there's a lot of hype and things are going up really fast, and then it gets very slow, and people are seeing that a lot of people are doing very successful with this edition market because the entry price is a lot lower. It's less of a risk to spend capital right now. You have the ability to own more from own artists. So if somebody puts out an edition like this one here that sold out really well, it's only in our human nature and human psychology to say, ooh, I should put out a new edition and get myself some more capital, some more liquidity. Not only that, a larger collector base, but at the same time, if something happens in a sense where the next ones are hard to sell, then I think that individual artist has to figure out a time frame that works for them to release the next one, and maybe that's 3 weeks for some, maybe that's a month and a half for others, maybe that's two months for others. So, you want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just quickly tell you about my understanding about how the others about the simultaneous drop of 2 or 3 more editions in a collection is when you start with a proper roadmap that okay, my collection will have these many images, and as per my roadmap, these are the total number of images that I'm going to have right at the end of it. Okay, which means that eventually a collector who buys one piece would know that when the next edition is coming in. Of course, that sort of a release idea can also vary based on your secondary, how the secondary works. So if your secondary is really on fire, then you might even prepone your drop of the next piece. But it has to have some sort of a sync with each other, because generally you want to have all the editions in one folder unless and until you're working on multiple different kinds of editions in different themes, which might not be very relevant to everybody, right? So if you're working with editions that you're going to add in one particular collection itself, I think that planning has to happen quite early, and all your collectors who are investing in you should be made aware of it. So in case there are collectors who you did not plan about, or they just got in touch with you, that's a great thing, which means that there is a chance of getting in touch with them, talking with them in DMs and saying that, okay, this is my roadmap. Probably this collection will have an overall 10 images, and each would be launched at a gap of say 10 days or 11 days or 12 days, something like that. So right now, being a collector, I mean, I can talk very, very well in this scenario because I'm a collector of this edition. But I did not even know that there's something that's coming up in the next 1 or 2 days, right? Which means I do not know about what's coming in. I do not have a clarity.
So let's take a
won't be
look.
very interested. Yeah.
So let's take a look then, at the secondary market. So I just took a look, and so the last thing on the secondary market sold 14 days ago, and so then probably after that he moved into this image here, which we did see doesn't really have any secondary market at all. And these are all airdrops, so no sales actually.
So if you see that, that means
Uh-huh.
he minted it about 3 days after or 2 days after the sellout happened, without giving any
Yes.
time to the secondary. That's what.
Sure. And so here's the biggest problem I see with this, right? One, I think Into the Light is a great photograph, but I don't think it's as strong as his first one. And so what he did by minting Into the Light, right, is he took some of the excitement and attention off of this what is this Akushti Akara, is that how you say that, off
Wrestling.
of this.
Yeah, wrestling.
Yes, took some attention off of this and said, because we'll get FOMO when we see if this sold out, well, then my next one will. But had maybe we just stuck with this and we continued with the story of this one, then maybe we would see some secondary sales. because at 0.05, you could still make secondary sales on an image like this. Because I looked at this image the other day and I said, oh, at 0.05, I think this is still a really good buy because this is a really fantastic image. And if you look at the collectors, there's some really notable collectors in here. So I think that this still has a lot of room to move on secondary, but you already minted another one. And now we're here today for the pre-mint of the third one that you already want to mint. So I think the biggest lesson in this one is a little bit of patience and a little bit of focus on your secondary market, and also the idea that this image is a bit different from the other images. In one, that it's in color, and two, that it just feels like the story, it kind of moves away a bit from the original edition collection. And do you have anything else to add, Sam?
No, I'm fine with this one. So we can move on to the next person.
So looking at 20 of 20 at 0.03, I do think that is fair.
Yeah.
Right? Wants to donate part of the money to blind children's school and orphanage homes. That's a really good, really good incentive. Respect that. And so I think that's all we really need to touch on this one is that, I think you're just moving just a little bit too fast. So on that note, I think we can move on to the next one if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Great. And, and if the artist is here or any of the artists are here and they would like to speak, we would certainly love to speak to the artist as well, because you understand we're here to help you. We're certainly here to help you grow in your journey with additions here. And, something that's going to happen is a lot of artists are going to oversaturate their own market with a lot of additions now, and in some of them with additions that are really high and harder to sell because maybe their engagement isn't as high as some others that were able to sell 36 editions or 50 editions. So you really got to be able to gauge what your engagement is, and it's tough to even figure out what your own engagement is right now, because my engagement's a lot less right now because of the market sentiment. So I can't compare my engagement to 3 months ago to when I make a post now. So I even have to look at stuff like that myself. So
Hey,
cool.
Mike.
Let's move on. Yeah.
I just want to let the artists know if they want to speak or anything, just to type in the chat and I'll unmute them.
That's perfect. They could speak into the or text, write some text information into the AMA the chat room, and then they could come in. And so we'll move on to the next one. And if they do want to speak, we'll just jump right back to their collection.
Yeah.
Cool. So did you want to do a thing where Sammy, where I talk about one, you talk about one, of the specific ones you want to talk about, however you want to do this is fine by me.
I think I mean we can do in alternates, that's for sure. So I can take this up and you can
Sure.
go ahead with the other one. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So Tapan Seth, of course I have come, I know him, he's there as well in the particular AMA session. So first of all, I must mention that Tapan is a really good wildlife photographer. So I have been following his work. So he's really well established in the field. He has a verified profile on Instagram as well. I was just checking that while I was going through his entire profile. That's what we do as a part of the AMA. We check out the entire artist profile. And this particular image is a really strong one. I must mention that. And we were talking about couple of aspects, because you had a few questions about that. But first, let me read through the artist statement once. The emperor, it's always a dream to capture lion in silhouette, and it's only possible in savannah. This was my maiden trip to Kenya, and I was lucky enough to spot this, a huge male who had a fight with another lion for territory. And after winning the fight, he was leading back to the area he newly owned. The perfect sunset, along with this huge lion, makes the complete frame. So I love the frame, to be honest. This is a really cool frame. And if we look at Tapan's earlier edition, Mike, if you can quickly go to his
Sure.
OpenSea.
Yeah, I love this frame too. It's something.
Yeah.
There's something about it. It's a really beautiful silhouette. has this dream-like feeling to it. It's like soft around the edges, and it's a gorgeous color. So, all right, you want me to pull up? Let's go. And so, what I believe it's Portraits of the Streets, Life and Light. Am I on the right? Let me see.
No. I think that's
Oh.
the other.
Okay. Yes. So, Motherhood Collection.
No worries, you can just open it in a new tab.
Yeah, I'll say maybe it mixed up here. Cool. So I'll open it. This is the Sloika one here.
Oh, I remember. So this, I don't think this link was working at that juncture. So.
Oh, no, I can open it.
Yeah.
I'll be it. Let's try it. Open link in new tab.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So this is just one we didn't open before.
Yeah. So, like if you look at his body of work, it means that he is actually a wildlife photographer. He's an established wildlife photographer. So, what I wanted to put a bit of stress upon is that people can relate to his work. So, the ones who had seen his first Loika collection would know that he is into this particular genre and has some really good images. And you see that 4 of them are sold, which means that he has a decent amount of traction in the public as well. So, this is a very beautiful image.
Yeah,
Not
look at
sure.
this.
I don't know whether why has it been not collected yet, but I think
It is. It's collected, that one.
Sure.
It's unavailable. Collected by Harini. Yeah, beautiful
Yeah.
photograph.
Okay, but what I also wanted to see is his OpenSea collection, which we manually opened because he did not share the link with the form. So, Mike, if you can go to OpenSea and just type Tapan, there is one.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Go to OpenSea. Yeah, I gotta put in some more info.
You don't need to. You can search it without logging in as well.
I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, the first one.
Editions by Tapan. Cool. So editions by Tapan. Go ahead.
Okay, so as of now, what we see is that the volume traded is 0.43 and has 22 owners, and the floor price was 0.025, right? Which essentially means that the volume traded is much less than what it would have. Let's dig into it and see what happened.
Yes, we dug onto this one. So, this is when we were looking at this. I know I said 36 total, 22 owners, but the price is much higher. I said this has to be sold out. And so when we opened up 22 owners, I noticed that someone actually owned 10 of these, and then another person owns 6 of them. And so as a collector, for me to come in here, I don't know. This for me personally raises like a bit of a red flag. I don't know why someone owns this many. And I went down and I looked into it and noticed that this 10 owned by this person here is not actually a sale. It's the transfer. And then there's 6, right? That were just a transfer as well. So that was a bit confusing to me. And I don't know if you want to take this and go on with it, Samia, but I was wondering that if it was difficult to sell this out, and so possibly those are airdropped, and maybe the artist is here and maybe can explain what actually happened there. Would it be difficult to do the same with a new image that is actually looking to be minted on Sloika, in which we talked about should probably be minted on the same collection because it's very similar in color palette and its wildlife, and also Sabode had just released a lion image on Sloika, and it's the first edition ever. So we talked about it probably being a better idea to go along the OpenSea route for that. And if you wanted to elaborate a bit on that.
Yes, absolutely. So exactly what you mentioned, that we thought that probably this collect. First of all, I must mention that the image that he has right now presented as a part of the pre-mint drop is a much stronger one than what he sold. This is a much stronger image. Okay, it has that beautiful depth of field going in. It has that royalty in it. So essentially, this will connect more to the people than the ones who had actually bought those editions of minimal compositions in it. So definitely, it's a big yes for this image, but probably a no for this platform. One, because what Mike said, that the bar has been raised really high. That is point one. Two is that you also need to chalk out that roadmap, that what's coming next. And because of the similarity in color tone of these two images, I also strongly believe that this image would actually fit well into that existing collection. It looks like the similar scenario, and of course look at that header image. It also looks very coherent. So I think it will fit perfectly in that OpenSea list itself. And the price, let's talk about the pricing point a bit.
Sure. Before we talk about the price, though, I think it's a better idea to add to an existing collection than to just have pieces all over the place in different areas, especially if it fits so cohesively. Because then you're kind of building on something, right? You're building on the amount of owners you're going to have. You're building on your total ETH volume over time. And you'll probably build on your floor price over time as well. And that's just something that just looks really good to collectors when they come in there and they can see that. So as
And
far as that
also
goes,
one small point is that
Mhm.
even after adding like 4 or 5 images to this collection, you can still have secondary sales on the first one, because the collectors who are buying into it might think that they will also want to be a part of the story right from the beginning. So if they might have missed out on the first image, if something is available on the secondary, you also unlock possibilities of getting a secondary sale, say even 6 months after you mint another image in that same collection. So you have to keep that option open. That's why
Yes.
it is a better idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say that we love Sloika. We absolutely love Sloika, especially at MetaJungle, and we love what they've been doing and how they've truly wanted to decentralize things from the start. And I think Sloika is a great platform to drop an edition series. And we're just saying this because the first edition series was a lion from Savode, and so and because this also fits really well in what you already have. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, precisely. And if you look at the pricing part of it, I think it is fine. 18 is a good number, and 0.036 makes like the total value around 0.64, something like that, which is good enough. And if you look at the earlier calculation, probably because you airdropped a lot of pieces, that's why your total volume of sales is showing to be low, but your calculations were pretty much on the same line. So I am fine with the number of editions as well as the value of the editions. That's for sure.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
we,
I would say the first thing that's the most important thing to me is the image. So when we're talking about all of this stuff, I mean, there's a lot of factors, but when I'm looking as a collector, if the image stands out to me as something really beautiful, something that I would want to display one day in a virtual gallery, then the price and the edition size tend to take second and third place to that. So I just wanted to say that. So um,
yeah,
if because I've purchased some editions where it has a high number, of editions, and the price might be 0.04 or so, but the image is just so fantastic that I'm okay with it. So I just wanted to reiterate that I believe that the quality of image will be the single most important thing, and then the amount of editions and the price, especially in a market where we really haven't figured out scarcity yet. And I think scarcity is a really important thing, and I think we're just in the wild west still. And I think people have come out with editions of 100 and 1,000 in this, and they've done well with it. But I think over time, that's not going to last. And so, yeah, just wanted to state that.
okay. And one last thing before we probably go on to the next one and take a few comments is that in the last part he has shared an utility. With the purchase of this edition, every holder will get an airdrop of award-winning photo from Nature's Best Photography Asia magazine. I guess that's another magazine that you're talking about. So I'm just trying to understand this. Is it that it is gonna be like another edition drop, like you're gonna make an 18 edition of one more image and you're gonna airdrop it, or is it gonna be a one of one? If it's a one of one, I would say you should think about it, because that's like a lot to give away. But if it's
Oh
like
yeah,
another edition of it, of another image, then it's fine. Then it's completely fine. Yeah.
I agree with that completely. So, is the artist here? Is Tapan here?
I think Tapan is here. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if Tapan wants to jump on, we unmute him, and I'd love to hear what he has to say about some of the feedback that we've given, and is he would he consider changing his mind to go to OpenSea? Is he still set on Sloika, or just anything that we've talked about?
Yeah. Tapan, if you are there, I think you can unmute yourself and you can share your thoughts.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hi, Mike. Yes, Samia. Thank you very much for this wonderful feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but thank you. Like, I got the wonderful idea, like, make a kind of a collection of kind of editions in same place. So I'm gonna accept it. Like, I'm definitely gonna mint it on like OpenSea only, and that's a wonderful idea. Like, I didn't think about this, and because of you guys, I'm coming to know about it, and like, I'm happy with it. Like to minting on OpenSea. And one more thing I like to clear, like, regarding the previous edition, like, it was a size of 36, but then I listened to Alpha and Subodh, like, these guys were talking about edition size and pricing structure about that. So, like, it's minting a 36 a number, it's like it's a huge kind of a thing. So, and that time gas was very high, and was not able to burn, like, it's costing a lot. So I airdrop to my couple of friends, and like the total sale was only 18 images. Like it was a edition of 18 only, and one sale was made, so I was not able to change anything.
Okay, great. So thanks for clarifying that, because if we don't know that, I could just be looking at it and thinking, oh, well, he wasn't able to sell out, so he dropped 10 to a friend or 6 to another friend to sell. So okay, so it's good to be able to hear that. And you've got your current floor price up to 0.09. Congrats on that. That's really good. And like we said, it's a great image, and we think the new image is even better. But they fit so well together. So it's really good to hear that you'll take that feedback and put it into the same series and grow the ETH volume within that collection and grow the collector base within that collection. I think that's a really good idea.
Yep, thank you very much. Like, I have a few images like which fit is in this collection. So yeah, that's a very good idea I got from you guys. Thank you very much for this wonderful feedback.
Cool, man. Stick around and hear some of the other feedback too, because yeah, we want everyone to make solid choices in this edition market and not oversaturate their own markets. And because everything we do here on the blockchain, it's permanent. So um, let's try to make sure that we do it right the first time, and then we help each other out, so that because collectively we're all part of this revolution and evolution in art that's happening right now. And right now, it just happens to really be an addition time because of the market sentiments. We have to all be here for each other to help each other out so that we could all succeed. Because your win is my win, and my win is your win, and so yeah. So that's why we're doing this AMA, and it's hopefully it's helpful to a lot of people. So thanks for being here.
Awesome. And Sunny is also here with us. So Sunny, in case he wants to add something, and I've just requested Goon to give him the rights to speak, so that he can jump in whenever he wants to.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I don't know if he was here for the first and second, but yeah, that would be great too, because it's really good to hear from the collector's perspective too. I mean, I consider myself a collector, but not at the level of Sunny, and Sunny is very intelligent when it comes to storytelling with your work, not oversaturating your own market, and just being really focused on the artwork and the storytelling. So would love to hear from him today. That's great to have him. Thanks for being here, Sonny.
Thanks, Mike. How's it going, everybody? My first time in this AMA, so pardon the interruption. I just had a question for Tapan with the utility. So I see at the bottom, with the purchase of this edition, every holder will get an airdrop of an award-winning photo from Nature's Best Photography Asia 21. Okay, so that's about it. So Tapan, so you're gonna additionize that and airdrop that to everybody who purchases this, right?
Yes, Sunny, exactly.
So my question to you is, which photo do you consider to be more valuable? This one right here, or the one that is the award-winning photo? Like valuable as in like, which is better art, better value. So from both those perspectives.
See, to be honest, when I took part in that particular competition, I felt like, this photo was strong enough to win a kind of a competition. So that was my point of view. But fortunately, means we have kind of a couple of entries to send of them, and that photo particularly selected. So those two photos was there. So for me, like these both like are equivalent. But to be honest, like this much is more stronger for me.
Can we see the other photo? Did we look at that? Where is that photo located that we might be able to pull that up and see it?
No, I don't think he has shared that yet, because this is about just the edition piece that we had. So I don't think he had shared that in the drive.
I think that's a great question from Sunny, though, that if this is the main piece and then the airdrop piece is an award-winning piece, that it's a good idea to think about which piece is stronger than the other, because it relates to the value of your own work and what you're giving away for something that's selling out in a long-term kind of regard, I'd say.
I'll tell you why I asked that question, because as I'm reading this, I'm a little conflicted. What I'm conflicted about is which one is the better photo, the one that I'm purchasing now, or the one that I'm going to get for free later, or as an airdrop later. And anytime there's confusion, like confusion is never good, right? So what I would say is I understand that what you're trying to do here is to add a utility at the bottom, but to me is always confusing when the utility seems like that's more valuable than the art that I'm buying itself. So that makes me question whether I should even buy that art. Like, what is the value of this art when I'm getting something more valuable as an airdrop? So just something that caught my attention. I thought I'll bring up.
Yeah, that's true, because then maybe you could just buy the airdrop off of secondary for less than the original image, because the airdrop will sell cheaper on secondary because people received it as a gift. Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting actually. And he did not mention anything about any awards in the first description of the main image. So that means either he has missed out on that, or maybe he can mention that as well. And it is a good question, that which one is more valuable. So yeah. Good question. Maybe Tapan might be interested in adding more information about that in the future. So yeah.
Cool. Some really good learning points on these last two. So this is going really well. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if we don't have anything else, then we can move on to the next.
Yeah, let's move on. This might take a bit of time to actually load. Oh, it loaded fast.
Well, this is a big one. This is actually 2 slides, and you can see, and these are full resolution images, so it takes a long time to even load on my computer, which has like 32 gigs of RAM. A lot of space. Okay, so this is by Radnathwit Saha. Is that how you say?
Ratnadip Swaha.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Not bad. Okay. And so, all right, I'm going to read a little bit of this. I think before I read any of this, I've read it before, and I think that there's a lot more information here than we actually need, and you can tone this down. But okay, so Additions by Ratnatwip is a long-term project for me that will continue featuring some of my favorite images I feel to bring up in Additions. Horizon of Wonders. I didn't consider myself as a wildlife photographer, and why should I even? I have never been to the wild. So, okay, I'll tell you this. Just by reading that original part, um, it's almost like I would say I would never really put down my own art by saying stuff like this. I feel like in a way you're saying I'm not a wildlife photographer, but I'm venturing into it, and so that already kind of throws up like a little bit of a red flag for me. I'd probably leave stuff like that out. Okay, I never shot any wild animal in another natural habitat until the 9th of April 2022, which is literally um, the month before last. So but yes, I always love to watch episodes on wild animals on National Geographic or Discovery or Animal Planet channels. And um, a name I've always been hearing is Masai Mara, right? Even my wife and daughter are also keen on watching such episodes. So automatically, an intention and urge grew in me to visit Mara for at least once in my life. Not for photography, but for seeing these wild animals in the natural habitat. But a middle class family man living in an unpopular, backward state of a developing country like India, such things are nothing but dreams. And moreover, when I have been struggling see this part, resonates with me. This part about how coming from an underdeveloped area, it's kind of just a dream to go there. Everything else before that, for me at least, is not information that I really needed to know. This is interesting here. But a middle class family living in an unpopular background. Yep. And moreover, when I have been struggling for every single day for a good income just to support my family. But then came the NFTs, the thing that showed me a ray of hope for the first time in a long time period, enabling me to dream, live big, and live better. Okay, so Masamari. Finally, I was there in a camp set at the middle of a vast plains of savanna. Our day there used to start at 5:30 a.m., and I said our camp was set in the middle of the wilderness. Once we were out on our safari cars, we could see hundreds of zebras, impalas, wildebeest, tapis, black bucks, giraffes, hippos, hyenas, and whatnot. With every minute as the eastern sky glows up, the animals look more gorgeous under that wonderful sky. When the first light falls on the lions, cheetahs, leopards, zebras, oh, no one can actually express the feeling in words. Their appearance, sounds, rising sun, cool breeze, everything makes the environment so magical, so blissful. Okay. Move on to the next slide. So this is more about the information of what this is. We'll finish here real quick. So this is my first ever foreign trip. It has become, so this is one trip. So one trip in photographing wildlife from a photographer that doesn't normally ever photograph wildlife. So just take that in mind. So an experience of a lifetime, lots of fun, loads of learning, and more. Now, as I was sorting the pictures from around 5,000 shots, I found actually three categories of pictures. First, minimalistic. Second, close-ups. And third, environmental portraits. But while finalizing my first release from the trip, my travel photography thought process influenced me to go for the minimalistic ones. And so if we look on the right here, we can see that, these are more minimalistic images. The animals are very far away, silhouetted, seems to be a lot more about, this golden hour time, or just a simple images, less speaking as more. Okay. Horizon of Wonders consists of editions of 6 unique minimalistic frames portraying various animals, each having 12 editions. So we're looking at, well, let's just read the rest. Also, bundle offers are available for specific collectors with a special discount. So here it says 6 times 12. So are we talking 6 images at 12 editions here, Samia? Because this is 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. So this is 9 images. So is he asking for help to drop this down to
Yeah.
possibly 6? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Cool. So let's read this part here because a bit of this here I thought was quite ambitious and a little bit confusing. So I have planned for some unique perks for the collectors. One, bundle collectors will be automatically whitelisted for all of my upcoming drops until December 2022 at a discount feature of 10%. Individual collectors will be whitelisted for my upcoming 2 drops with 10% discount feature. To me, the bundle collectors probably should receive a little bit more than an individual collector. And also, you're talking about 2 drop releases here, upcoming drops here. How do we know that your upcoming drops aren't just 2 drops? It gets a little bit confusing here. Number 3, 6 special edition airdrops will take place through the public raffle. And then even more, 1 special wildlife one-of-one airdrop will take place through public raffle. Now, when I see this as a collector, right, I'm an artist first, but I am also a collector. I have quite a bit of pieces now. When I see this, it gets too confusing to me to the point where I can't even focus on the art anymore, and I'm trying to figure out all of these incentives that I may or may not get, and I don't know. And so for me, I think this needs to be toned down quite a bit on the incentives and focused more on the actual art. And so, Sam, with that, Samya, what I think we were on the same page about a lot of this. If you would like to add, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, what I actually wanted to draw everybody's attention is in terms of his earlier work or the work that has been selling. Okay, one that Mike has very clearly pointed out that probably it's very evident from the write up that it is his first attempt at wildlife photography. And look at this work. This is fabulous. Look at the
Yeah.
light. Look at the light. Look at the moment. Look at the tones of these images, right? This is beautiful work, right? Which means that essentially he's, and of course the new drop that has come in, I mean, this should go at the pace of hot cakes. The minimalism, the mystic atmosphere, the moody tones, and the dog are sharing a beautiful moment out there. So that means essentially Ratnadeep is a street daily life and documentary based photographer. That is what his core idea is, right? And in that entire narrative about Masai Mara, he did talk about environmental portraits, right? So for somebody who has been really working hard and working really well towards work like this, my entire question is, why would there be an edition drop on a piece on a kind of photography that is not his strength? And when we have been continuously talking about works that should be of his highest priority, of the works that really people relate to him, that is his strength, I believe that maybe one of these pictures or maybe 2-3 of these pictures should have been there as additions. Right, not the wildlife ones, because those are his best ones, best works are there. Now and then let's come to his traction that he has received throughout these collections. So this collection has sold pretty well. It's 0.82 in terms of the total volume, and there are 7 owners already, which means it is almost on the verge of being sold out, right? That means that this one has gotten traction. His Loika has just been published, so it doesn't have too much of traction. But there is another collection other than that, which is on portraits, the black and white portraits collection, yeah, which also has a fair bit of pieces left. That means fair bit of work left. So my question is that because a bit of traction is still needed, why would I go for such a large drop immediately, like 6 into 12, right? 6 is into 12. Even if you select like 6 pieces out of this 9, I think it's a long drawn plan, which is going to take a lot of time for you to sell out if it actually happens. So my suggestion here is, other than going I guess it's 6 into 12, I think you should go for something like 6 into 8. That means 48 pieces as additions. And the other 2, you can actually try the other 2, that is 8. That is 8 in total. The collection will have 8 total pieces. You can do 2 raffle draws, one of ones, which will mean that eventually you have 50 pieces in total, and there are better chances of you selling out, right? I think that is a good, fair enough plan. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's a much more fair plan. But more important than that is, I think a lot of what you had just said, that, I think that the artist's strongest work actually lies in those scenes of solitude with that beautiful lighting. And this is the photographer's first entrance on a single trip into photographing wildlife. And it's very hard to create a really beautiful, cohesive body of work from one visit anywhere. And so I could clearly see that, in in his work here, that he's visited this type of work a lot, a lot. And so to me, it's like, I personally wouldn't move into the wildlife genre right now with additions. I would probably take something of my unsold work that relates more to this type of work, and make an addition series out of that, because these one of ones are beautiful. I love what you have going on here with this Leica collection. And it's a shame we're in a market where 0.35 is a lot right now, because of the sentiment here, and there's some 0.2, that the sentiment here, it's tough, because editions are doing really well. And so I can see that you probably want to jump into the editions market because it makes sense. But I personally would jump into the editions market with my signature style rather than moving into a wildlife style. Although I think some of these wildlife pictures are really beautiful, I don't think they hit the mark with aware how beautiful your other work is, because you've spent a lot more time on that work. So that would be my
Absolutely.
biggest.
Absolutely, I completely agree with what Mike just said. And of course, what overall my observation was that in the near, probably in the next couple of months, there will be a lot of wildlife editions coming in. We had 3 in this particular AMA itself, and probably all of them from the same location, right? So in that case, it's also important for me. I also think that your understanding and estimation of the market is also important, to see that you do not present works that are very similar, that are going, that are very similar to each other in terms of their context, in terms of their color schemes, in terms of their maybe impact in the market, because a lot of collectors are similar collectors, same collectors of others' works, who will also buy into your collection. So I feel, I understand that probably Sloika, because it's a regulated marketplace, and you had probably given those pieces earlier. That's the reason why you had to go live with it. But in my opinion, if you have more work on street, or maybe those moody shots, I think that's much more better fit in terms of your editions. Not probably this, but in case you want to go ahead with this, do not go ahead with 6x12, but restrict it to a maximum of 50. That's what my suggestion is. The pricing is fine. It doesn't really matter as of now.
Mm-hmm. And if the artist here and wants to talk, or if anyone else wants to jump in as well, that'd be great.
Yeah. Tandeep, if you're here, you can actually share your thoughts. Yeah, he's here. Or if you're not comfortable in speaking, you can also use the chat box there, on the AMA live chat. Yeah, you can share your thoughts there itself.
In the meantime, I'll go over some of the questions here. So, how much such edition collectives are feasible in current market condition? So, do you understand this question exactly?
Yeah, I mean, what
Sam?
he's saying, that how much edition he's saying that whether edition collectives or collection of editions are feasible in the current market, or not. Definitely. Look at
Yes.
Mike's collection. It was very successful. Look at my collection as well. It was decently successful. So it is the market is pretty much open to it. But you have to evaluate your particular standing, whether you have had that success in the past, or if you have that equity with the collectors going, so that you can adopt to the same strategy or not.
Yeah, and so I mean, if you think about my collection, it's a collection of editions. It's a 10-year body of work. And no offense, this is what you've gone out here with is a one trip to Masimara, right? And so it's probably a lot harder to drop. I mean, was able to drop 20. It's probably a lot harder to drop a lot of images until you've really created that depth and body of work. And, maybe you go out on this trip a few more times and you realize that, the silhouetted images that are minimal aren't your best, and maybe you learn that the close-ups become better, or you build and build and build over time. So yeah, I mean, you take what we say with how you do, and take from it what you can, but I'm personally more of a fan of the original work that you've been showing on OpenSea and selling, and I think that's because you've been living in that genre for some time, and you've created you've become more of a master in that, and learned about it a bit more. So
Yeah, I
I
think
do, yeah.
even Mike, your editions that you launched are very much coherent or cohesive with the kind of work you've been putting otherwise too. Look at the other works that you have done. Look at your sold out collections of one of ones. So they have been mostly street and daily life shots. In fact, the one that you did on Foundation as well, they're also pretty much in accordance to your style. So you do not change that much because people do relate to that style itself. I'm not saying that people cannot experiment. Of course, people can be multi-genre in terms of their expertise, but then because you are very clearly writing that this is your first experience of doing wildlife, maybe that could become a defining factor for a few collectors. That's what we are saying, nothing else. Okay.
Sure, and and a lot of my work's about solitude, and I had gone experimental and went to landscapes and stuff in areas where I hadn't spent enough time, and they weren't as successful as the work that I've spent years and years and years on, that I know is my bread and butter. And so, I we've all over minted, we've all made mistakes and whatnot. But it's, the AMA like this is for, especially pre-mint, is to allow you to think about some of those things, and possibly change your idea on how you might release this, so that you do it right the first time, and so that you don't have to learn from the mistakes.
Okay. The next question is about the quantity and pricing. We talked about it already. What about the collector's perks? We also talked about it, that it might be a bit confusing to actually give them so many options. So just try and see what's more relevant, what is more feasible for you to actually send it across to collectors. They can read it and understand it at one go, and then think about buying it. What are the proper ways to go for bundle editions? Is the same as you do for bundles. Like, for example, if you do those, I mean, it's a very simple process. Mike has done it, I have done it. So you just mint it. You just go and list and create like almost like 10 copies or 12 copies if you want. You try and club them together. There are multiple ways of doing it. You can do it from your own collection page on OpenSea, or you can actually go into that collection and then hit the sell button and combine 5 pieces or 6 pieces.
I don't know if you cut out there. Did Sam, you cut out for anyone else?
Yeah. Yeah, I can
I can't hear Sammy Mike.
You can?
I can't hear it.
Okay. So then I'll just continue. So he's speaking about the bundles. So I think another important aspect of creating the bundles is getting them out. One really big aspect is actually speaking with collectors one-on-one, and building the relationship with those collectors to find out which collectors are going to be interested and are going to stick to the word on actually purchasing the bundles. And then the rest is simple. You go on OpenSea, you go to your main profile page, and then you just click. You just click. You can. I'll go to mine, so everyone can get an idea how to be able to do that. So this is my main page, and so let's say I wanted to bundle some of the fairy work here. I could just click these 3 dots, and I could say sell, and then I can bundle it up right here. Sell bundle of 5, and then you just put the amount, and then you can reserve for a specific buyer, and you just send it to that specific buyer, and now they could buy 5 items. And the reason that helps is because it's one gas transaction. The gas transaction's higher than a regular gas transaction because it's multiple images, but it's still a lot less than if they were to do. But yeah, the most important part is actually, getting the communication with the collectors that are actually going to be interested in, so forming those relationships. And so, what are the proper ways to go from what we already talked about? Any kind of suggestions, feedback, criticism. So we already went through all of that. And so let's see how we
Sorry,
can
I just
get.
got disconnected. So I think I
Okay, all
kept
right,
typing.
you're cool.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went on about how, also creating the relationship with the collectors that are going to buy the bundles too. And I showed how to bundle on OpenSea. So we could probably move on to the next collection here, unless anyone has anything else or if the artist wants to speak.
Okay. So did
Mike,
Ratnadip?
I just want to
Yeah,
add something, if I have permission.
yeah. Go ahead.
Firstly, Mike and Sammy, thank you very much for this detailed discussion, because coming to AMA with a pre-minted collection is very, very helpful, because I have gone to Masai Mara for the first time, and the kind of images I have got, maybe I may be satisfied with them as I am very first in this genre, but my collectors should have think twice or thrice, because there are so many beautiful wildlife creators there. So I think I should go with your ideas and come up with something in which I am strong for the time being. We can think about the wildlife later. So I will come up again with one unminted edition. Let me sort out my images again from the rural street life, and I will come up again. So thank you so much for the suggestions and reviews.
Thank you so much for putting your work on display. It's not easy to put your work on display to receive feedback. And also thank you for actually taking our advices and rethinking about how you should go about this. This is a perfect example of why it's important to apply to this with a pre-mint, because we have had a lot of applications come in that are already minted, and if you want to hear feedback on stuff that's already minted, that's fine, but it's a lot harder to reverse mistakes. It's a lot easier to hear what you can do to do it right the first time. And so, really great. These pictures are beautiful pictures. They definitely are. They're definitely beautiful pictures. I can't wait to get out there myself and ride with Sabode and get some free Nikon gear rental from him and see what I can do. But it probably won't be my best stuff, because it'll probably only be my first time out. I'll probably have to visit a few times. And so, yeah, perfect, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. You have anything, Sammy?
No, I'm fine. Unless and until Ratnadeep has something, or else we can move on to the next person.
Cool. I'm cool to move on.
Awesome.
All right,
Okay.
cool. So you want to take this one?
Yeah, for sure. So Ayush, of course, I know Ayush from a long time back, but then he has actually gone into quite strongly. I would say the first couple of months, his first couple of months into the NFT space was quite strong. But okay, I can hear myself. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, when he actually came out with the idea of doing editions, what we eventually discussed upon, because he had shared a few photographs with me personally too, but I always had a few things in my mind, that what was his first set of collections of one of one all about. Okay, and I remember very clearly that his first set was about black and white photographs. Black and white in the sense, black and white street photographs from Varanasi. Exactly. These are the
These are
ones
them.
that we actually put up. And right now, what we see on the screen is the ones that are still available on sale. So he had made, like, I think 3 sales as of now. So yeah, and fair bit is still left out there in the market, but it has been well appreciated. This is what I can get out of this, and these compositions are really strong, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
after this sort of of a collection that he has out there in the market with black and white, though these are all shot in phone, by the way, smartphone photography, which I really appreciate. when I see a picture like this, which is again in a very similar to the last conversation that we had about Ratnadeep, probably this doesn't suit his natural style. This is a landscape photograph, or rather travel photograph. That's how we differentiate between the two. That here, because there's a human element in it, it actually qualifies as a travel photograph. And instantly, when I look at this image, I would say, is this Ayush's work? Maybe I have to actually go deeper into that description to actually understand whose work is this. And most importantly, which I see is, I'm not reading the description very carefully, because we read that before, but Ayush, you need to probably rework that, especially the first line. Editions by Ayush: hello, I am a normal human being in general. I mean, to be honest, I do not understand what or why would you write that? And then you are talking about a few more things like the anti perspective, the bird's eye perspective. But here again, you're writing very things that you should not, probably. Like, probably this particular shot was one of your firsts when you actually went to Munnar, a place like Munnar in South India. So my suggestion is that whenever you have such strong pieces of work up there on the primary in terms of your one-of-one collection, I did tell you that you should have one of your strongest pieces, and this is not your strong piece, that's for sure. That's why you have to think about the selection of the picture first, and then let's come to this, your editions, or the number of editions, and point to, and your price. It is fine, in my opinion. 10 editions of 0.025 is affordable. It is also, to some extent, you're also factoring that once you move on to the first collection to the next, you have to have that little bit of leap. Just like we move in the corporate ladder, that we probably go for a little hike, you're also going for a little hike. This is not a problem, but the problem is in terms of what you put up there, right? So let's go to that other part of it, that why should, if I am a collector, is there some sort of a perk in it that I should like to invest in the piece? Let's look at what you're offering. A person collecting 2 pieces from the edition gets a whitelist spot for the next drop. Now, why do you want to do that? Like 2 pieces and a whitelist spot, because you still have like 3 pieces left in your edition, in your first one-of-one collection to sell off. That means as of now you've made like 3 sales. So for me, if I were asked that what could have been a proper, like an utility, I would say 1 piece. Anybody who gets a piece from the collection will get a whitelist spot for the next drop. Why 2? It's
Yeah.
just 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that, everybody that collects should get a whitelist spot if you're having trouble selling your other work, right? Because, I mean, the goal here is to get these collections sold out, like get an edition sold out, so that the next whitelist spot you have that one sold out, so that you can build a name of sold out collections. So rather than making it, difficult and having to have people collect 2, it's probably best in your best interest with your the current climate of how your sales have been going to stick with like what Stanley said, with everybody gets 1 whitelist spot.
Yeah, and I was actually looking at his Instagram profile. I don't know whether you had opened it. I don't think we had when we were having a discussion. But in his Instagram profile, there are certain shots that are actually yeah. So there were certain shots that I saw that. Mike, you're saying something. Oh, yeah.
I'm
So
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was asking my girlfriend if she could get me some water. I should have muted myself. Thank you.
okay, no worries, no worries. So yeah, so what I was saying is that I had taken a look at Ayush's Instagram profile actually, and there are certain pieces which I personally liked, which actually would have gotten better with in coherence to what his
Yes.
first pieces were. So not this one, but I don't think we had opened up when we had actually discussed about his.
Okay.
But I did check out. So my recommendation to Ayush is that just revisit your Instagram account. There are multiple such black and white pieces that you have done in the past, which is street photography, which is about little moments, which is about black and white, and of course evocative. So try and go with one of your stronger pieces. Probably not this one. Let's go to the questions. How much does description of an edition matter? It does matter a lot. We had a lot of discussions in a few spaces as well, that how much is the description. I mean, my opinion is that treat it like a one-of-one, because it is your strong piece. You are getting more than what your one-of-one is giving you, right? So it has to be really well written. Mike also has the same opinion about it.
Yeah, I do. And, my opinion also is that, and I've stated this a lot quite on my Twitter, that, when you're looking at your edition piece, you should look at some of your strongest one of ones, and your edition piece should be as strong as those one of one pieces, because in reality, after the edition piece sells out, the ETH value that you get from it is normally, or most of the time, more than the one of one piece that you get. So when you look at the accumulated value over time, you should be offering people some of your highest quality pieces. I think that's one of the biggest things right now, where people are thinking, oh, it's an edition. I'm selling it for cheap. It doesn't have to be as good as my one of ones. And that is the furthest thing, in my opinion, from the truth, because the editions that I'm looking at that I buy are the ones that are really, really solid pieces and maybe better than the one of ones in the auction.
Yep, precisely. Um, so the next question is, what, according to you, would be a good and unique utility for a collector in editions? I think it varies from one person to the other. But in case you are doing like a project which will have a lot of pieces in the future, which is like a legacy project, like say Mike's or mine, then of course you must have something related to whitelisting. You could have something related to your airdrops. It could have linkage as a mint pass to your future drops, etc., etc. But it depends from one person to the other. But do ensure that whatever you do, the piece that you are selling is great. If that is not great, I don't think any of your utilities would actually work in the long term. So that is what one point that I wanted to mention. Does my edition size and pricing go well with my profile on Web3? I think it does. You have a good, you have cut down on the supply. It's 10 editions and 0.25 and 0.025, which essentially accumulates to 0.25. I think that's a decent leap from 0.15, that is your floor price, or rather your floor price of your one of one. So I think it does go well with your profile. Do you think an artist should keep a 50-50 ratio in one of ones and editions? What do you think, Mike, about this point?
I mean, so I don't. The truth is, I don't think that. I think we're living in the wild, wild west right now, and there really is no rules, and there's nothing really set in place yet that says, the 75% of your portfolio should be a one of ones and 25% should be additions. I'll tell you right now that my Lost in Transit series, after 100 images are released at addition of 10, I'll have 1,000 NFTs floating around, and so in that case, my ratio will probably be 80 or 90% additions to 10% of my one of ones. So I'm thinking more about quality of work rather than this ratio type thing, and then maybe my one of ones will exist at a much higher price if my additions continue to do really well. I can, my one of ones can sell between 1 and 2 ETH, or maybe more even in the future, depending on what I'm on. So I don't think there's any hard rule to this.
Yeah, precisely. So there's actually no hard and fast rule. So I don't think a lot of people were even thinking editions before this entire wave came in. I mean, at least I was not thinking. I do not know whether Mike was thinking about it. Were you thinking about editions, Mike?
I did some editions before the wave came in. Remember, I did Deja Vu.
Yeah.
I did the Deja Vu
So Mike,
edition and the other one. So I did it. I played around with it. I mean, I probably wasn't even in the position and established enough as an artist to even go into the edition realm yet, but it sort of worked, and now is a time that's much different. It's wild how the space evolves, and we don't really know where it's going to go. I mean, who knows? Maybe our collection editions that we have right now, Lost in Transit and Split Stories, and anyone else does collection editions down the line when there's a bull market again, who knows how many new people come into the space and find those collections, and it could be a frenzy of people just buying them up and not even caring whether or not they're editions or one of ones, just liking the quality of work. We don't know where it's going to go. We're creating this future, so yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. The last question that was there is what is that one common mistake that you've seen artists making editions? I think one is that we saw it was a classic case in the first artist that we talked about was releasing editions immediately after one got sold off without spending too much of any time, at least in terms of getting that secondary sales going, in terms of building that hype about a collection going. So if you saw the way that I did it, even before my drop actually happened, my entire drop got pre-sold 5 days before, and I think Mike's was also very similar, just that he wanted more people to actually get into it, else everything of his collection would have been pre-sold. But then still, even though I knew that the collection was getting pre-sold, I was not stopping that entire flow of the anticipation going in the market, that people were thinking about what's coming in. That sort of a momentum was built on the Twitter feed. People were continuously DMing me that what is coming in, what is the plan, how many pieces would be there. But then I also knew at the back of the mind that my collection is pre-sold. So that means you have to build that momentum before you actually drop that second piece. uh, you just cannot do one after the other. You would not get the same success. I think people are often mistaken when they see that their first edition actually got sold off very fast. They think that maybe the next edition will also go at the same pace, but because no, it's a very simple thing, that the artists, the ones who are from the artist community, not from the collectors community, they can invest in you once, they can invest in you twice, but probably the third time they will think about it, right? Because all of our ETH is limited. So till the point you actually give them chance to actually feel that this is a very rare piece, I don't think they're gonna come and invest immediately in you. So you have to give that bit of a time. So I think that is one big common mistake that I've seen in artists in editions. Mike, anything else that you have seen as a mistake?
Yeah, just not focusing on the secondary market, like just jumping to create something new. And so, if you think about it, like, yeah, primary market's nice. Like, you can make a good chunk of capital in the primary market, but like, if you just jump and leave that sitting cold and go on to something else, where's your future passive income coming from? Like, the truth is, like, this is about longevity and sustainability. And like, all of my life, all I wanted to do was be able to make a living off of being an artist. So I'm much more interested in my secondary market than I am in my primary market right now, because if my secondary market could go on for years and I could build the legacy project that people continue to buy off of secondary, I mean, I could send my kids to college and I can go on vacations with money off of secondary. But I think people, they sell the primary, they jump on to the next thing. And it's even it can even be an issue um, to have too many editions out, and then how are your one of ones going to sell when people can just pick up your edition for 0.03 or 0.02? So maybe just don't oversaturate your own market. I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen. I think FOMO is a big thing, impatience, things that I deal with myself too, that I have to like look at myself and say, hey, calm down, sit back. Like it seems like time is moving really fast, but it's sort of an illusion. We need to sit back and relax and just, plan things out for the long term of our success as artists and the success of our projects.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, Ayush, you have gotten the idea. I mean, I think we have spoken a lot about the questions, but the core idea or the crux is that you do have to focus on the piece most importantly, and keep it more cohesive and coherent to what people actually relate your work to, right? So with
Mm-hmm.
that, Mike, I think we can move on to the next person. Or Ayush, if you're there, if you want to just ask something, or maybe share your thoughts about what we said, if you agree to it or not, and we'll be very happy to hear your thoughts. Yeah.
For sure.
Ayush's server is muted. That's what I see in the
He wrote
Some
something
chat.
in
So
the chat
in case he
saying
wants to
thank
write
you.
something as well, that is also fine.
Sure. Okay, cool. And so I'll take this one too. Oh wow, I'm taking all the big ones. it's just ending up that way. It's fine because you're assisting me, so we're helping each other out. So this is Dasha Water bait, and this is Golden Moments in Wild. This edition collection is captured during our recent Masamara trip. Another Masamara. This is the third one now. Okay, I have selected images taken during sunrises and sunsets, as colors and layers at these hours are just magical golden moments in the wild. So first thing that comes to my head now is we have multiple collections coming out with this golden hour in this same location with wildlife. It's very interesting. So we have 8 of 8 at 0.02, and that's very fair. 8 editions is really nice to have. 0.02, especially to be able to buy something that's only 8 of 8. That's really fair. But I'd say let's look at the work that the artist has already had out in the market here, right? And so and it's not wildlife. And so this is similar once again to someone we already talked about. So this is actually the only piece that we could find, and it seems to be a Genesis edition piece called Dancing Lady. Okay, so we'll take a look, and it's got 0.07 volume, 7 owners. Let's look at those owners. Actually, let's do it this way first. Let's open the piece. 7 owners. So Sabode, Marini, Alpha, Jossie, some people that I really know. So a lot of people picked this up. 0.024, very fair pricing at 20. This is their Genesis piece. It's interesting to see now that people's Genesis pieces are
Editions.
editions. Yeah, last sale 5 days ago. That's not bad at all considering the this market sentiment that we're in. That's pretty good. Now, here's where I'm a little conflicted. You are offering an incentive to drop Dancing Lady to so we'll airdrop my running edition of Dancing Lady to collector of 5 editions. Interesting that you're dropping a piece that has nothing to do with actual wildlife photography.
Yeah.
Because your collectors are maybe interested in wildlife photography, but maybe they don't like this this super fast shutter speed still life stop action stuff from the dancing lady here. So that's a very interesting choice to me that I don't fully agree with. I would probably airdrop like Sabode did, airdrop a wildlife piece with a wildlife collection. It just makes a lot more sense to me. It also looks pretty ambitious here. That we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 images when you just entered the NFT market. This is a lot of images to be considering, right? Because he's considering these as to be a collection, correct? A collection of images, 8 of 8, 8 photos, 8 photos for 0.02, and they'll all be 8 of 8. So you had an interesting idea to do with this, and rather than doing 8 photos, right? So can you explain what your idea actually was? Because I loved it.
So
Sammy.
yeah, I mean, my idea was very simple. It was about dropping either 1 or 2 together, not 8 together itself. So it was either you just start with 1 picture of 8 editions each, because you haven't sold more than like 4 pieces yet. So your first edition drop is not yet sold out, which means when you're actually bringing out, or when you're uh, trying out a completely new genre, and I think this is from the same trip as Ratnadeep was, so that's why probably some of the pieces also look similar. So I think both of you can actually plan it together. It can happen whenever you are going in a trip together, because you do not want to feed the market with very similar pieces. It will confuse the collectors, and then eventually what will happen is none of them will actually get the sales. So what you can do is that you can either start with two pieces of 8 editions each, or maybe 1 picture each. Either ways it can work. Sell off 1, drop another one. Okay, something like that. And most importantly, as Boss Mom was also writing in that comment section, is you identify which one is the hero image of the lot. That hero image should be the image that you start off with, like that giraffe image. That giraffe is a standout image for me,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, we
And
talked about before though. We did math, right? Because you said eight
yeah,
times eight is 64,
64.
but
Yeah,
yeah, but maybe it's better to do what do you say, six instead? So then 8 times
mm,
6, 8, 16, 24, 30. It's like what, 40, 48?
yeah,
Am I right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then do two of them as one of ones, and that equals 50 total. The one of ones would be airdropped or something. I thought that was a really
yeah.
interesting idea. But we
Yeah,
have
that's
to.
like two ways of looking at it,
Mhm.
Mike. So either you look at it. I mean, this is the idea that just now came in my mind, because we are talking about a person who has just done his Genesis. Okay, so
Yeah.
even like a 6 into 8, which I now remember that we talked about, looks a bit steep to me as of now at this juncture, because we have to look at the best interest of everybody out here. So even if he
Mhm.
does like a 6 into 8, that is 48, and those two airdrops are being given away in a raffle, still I feel that that could take a bit of time to actually sell out, right? So that's why I'm suggesting that you can do like two pieces together, or maybe one pieces of 8 pieces. That also is a lot. 8 pieces is also a fair bit of selling to do, especially with 3 wildlife collectives being planned at the same time, right? So I think let's try with two pictures of 8 editions each. If that works, you can maybe go ahead with more pictures in the near future. That's what my suggestion would be
Yeah.
like.
An unknown collector talked about this recent in one of his tweet storms, that a lot of people are going to try to do this collection based edition series, and uh, and that a lot of people will possibly fail because it's a lot. If you're putting out a collection based edition series, you have to multiply the amount of each edition and sell out all of those, and so you don't want to get yourself stuck in the position where you have so many NFTs put out into the market and they just haven't sold, because that can really hurt your long term time here as an artist. So it's better to just start with less and add more over time, sort of like making a pasta sauce. You don't want to add all the salt in at once, because if you add all the salt in at once, then you have a salty sauce and you can't take any out. But if you add a little bit at a time, then we could have really good sauce at the end. So I think that's something to totally consider with anyone who's considering to go the route that I've gone with the collector, with the collection-based editions, and Sammy's gone with the split stories. It's done excellently well, but you have to consider how long you've been in the market, how much reach you have, how much community that you've built to be able to have that happen, and how many collectors you've actually speak with on a daily basis through DMs, or just have built relationships with, to have the ability to do that. You sort of have to know your own limits. And so in this case, being that you just came into the market and dropped the Genesis piece, which is an edition that did not sell out yet, I would probably stick to one at a time on this. But I probably wouldn't even release this until my first Genesis piece sold out. Otherwise, you're saturating your own market.
Yeah, same thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Dr. Dashavatar, in case he's here, if he has the speaking rights, in case you want to go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear us?
He's muted.
I don't know whether he's speaking.
Not
Yeah.
sure.
No,
Hello?
he's muted.
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Saab. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Your advice is very prompt. I agree with all the points you have said. So one or two points I want to ask. I do agree about going with one or two pieces of edition of 8x8. That's a very valid point. I agree with you most. One thing I wanted to ask, whether I should wait for my
present edition to get sold because it's I think this is somewhat difficult to sell because not many people are aware of this water droplet photography and all those because this is somewhat offbeat to the
Yeah,
market. So,
yeah.
so whether yeah, I wanted your opinion on that. Whether I should wait till it gets sold out, or should I drop this one or two edition of wildlife?
I strongly think that you should wait for your first Genesis editions to sell out. Why would you want to take any attention off of your Genesis piece right now by having people use their capital to purchase outside of that? Um, yeah, because it would be a really great idea to get that piece sold out and then be able to go on Twitter and say, hey, sold out this many editions of this as my Genesis piece. Tons of people will retweet you. Tons of people will celebrate you. That's much harder to have happen if you begin to put new pieces into the market. So yeah, I would say just be patient, and I would say go that route. That would be my greatest.
Absolutely. Agree with you completely, Mike. And Sally, thank you very much for giving your time, precious time, and elaborating it in detail. Anything else you want to suggest about images in particular? If you have any suggestions regarding
Yeah,
images,
I'd like to say one more thing about the last thing that I just said. And so, not only are you taking away attention from your Genesis piece, you still have a secondary market that you want to
yeah,
be able to move with that water drop photo, right? And so,
right.
imagine trying to have to juggle selling out this edition, working on these new wildlife things and those selling, then having to worry about the secondary when the first one sells out. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not only is it a lot of work, it could kind of screw you too. It could be very difficult. Don't give yourself more work than you have to. Focus on what you have going on now. It's a beautiful piece. You're the piece that you have out, but you have some beautiful pieces here too. I think for me, some of these ones on the right side are the ones that really stand out to me. I love the blue image here with the sun rays coming down. I'm not sure exactly what the animal is here. Obviously, a gorgeous piece of the giraffe. The lions or tigers that are over here, gorgeous pieces, and this elephant one really stands out to me here too. These three on the left side, my eyes don't keep going back to those. Maybe someone else. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like we also need to get on to the wildlife photography bus, Mike. We are losing out on a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to India, and I'm gonna borrow some of Subodh's Nikon equipment, and I'm gonna see what I could do with no wildlife too, because it looks like a lot of fun, and it looks, I'm sure it's an unbelievable time to be around these wildly majestic animals that don't want to attack you because there's so many people there all the time. So it looks like a dream world. So I'd love to get out there and go.
Population, Mike, just for your information, population of tigers in India has increased so much that from my state, Chandrapur district, they are transferring more than 100 tigers to another area because the population is huge and there is
Send
no
some
even
of
the
those.
food.
Send some of those to Mike's place. He would do well with them.
I didn't. Can you tell me what he said there? Because I missed some of that. What was
So,
that, Samuel?
in short, what he said that there's a lot of surplus tigers right now in India. So that's why some of them are being transported from one state to the other. So I said that why don't you ship some of them to Mike? He doesn't need to come to India to get into that pass of wildlife photography.
Yeah, send the lions and tigers to New York so I could have some really unique wildlife pictures. Jeez. My
On the
gosh.
streets of New York,
Oh
inside
my
those
gosh.
yachts.
Yeah, that would be
All
wild.
right.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks for coming up. Love hearing from you.
Thank you very much. It was very nice interaction with you. Basically, It was nice speaking with you and being in touch with you. That is more pleasurable. And the analysis was spot on. And I have heard all the analysis right from the start. They were all spot on. Thank you very much for the
Sure.
detailed feedback.
Guys, if you're in the chat, if you're in the AMA here, Dancing Lady here by Dash of Water. This is his Genesis piece. Share it. It's a beautiful piece. Let's get some shares on Twitter, right? And get his work in the eyes of some more people. Would absolutely love to see someone's first piece being an edition get sold out, so that we could prove to this market that editions are here to stay. Thank you, dude.
Yeah, and then in the chat, there's a lot of wonderful things happening on our AMA chat, where Boss Mom is talking about pasta, and I'm also feeling hungry. So what I'm saying is that guys, do bring in some new stuff, because I remember that Celine. I mean, just a bit diverting for 2 minutes before we go to the next person, because I know Yulia is gonna take a bit of time. Celine is actually
God.
coming up.
Because I started talking about sauce. Hey, it was a good analogy, but now everyone's hungry.
Yeah, by the way, I saw that Celine is coming up with food photography for the first time in this space, though it's a one of one. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to people coming up with food photography as well, so that we want to analyze a bit of it in our next set of AMA editions. So why not? Why not? I'm so game for it.
I know.
All right,
Oh my gosh. Cool. Yep. This has
let's
been
move
great
on.
so far. Very fun AMA today. All right. We're gonna move on to, and then this is your turn now. You're gonna do Yulia. Yulia, who's actually, I love Yulia. She's been an amazing community member, and she's done 2 AMAs with me now. She's got a really great perspective, and has helped a lot of people. So let's take a look at what Yulia is doing, and we'll talk about it. And Samuel,
All
we'll take
right.
this one.
Yeah, so very interesting. Somebody who has been doing AMAs is now on the other side. This is fun. Okay. So
We got to be
Yulia,
hard. We got to be hard on her. We have to be hard.
we're gonna be
Don't hold
realistic.
back. Don't hold back, please.
Oh, you're here. No, we're not. Don't worry. All right, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so first of all, I must say that the idea that Julia has presented is unique. That's what was the first point that I actually wanted to talk about, because it is very different from the rest of the lot. That she's coming up with an idea called capsules. Okay, now capsules of 6 images. That means a total of 36 images, and now she's talking about taking us to various parts of the world that she has been actually to. Like, for example, there are 6 names of countries like Chicago, Istanbul, New York, Egypt, Vietnam, Morocco. So now, from what I understand here, and probably Julia can correct me if I'm wrong, because I actually read a bit and I understood what she was trying to say, is that these 6 destinations would be released in phases, and there would be 6 photographs. Like for example, now the first stop is Chicago. So these 6 photographs are from Chicago, and there would be 6 editions of each. That means each of the destinations will have 36 images to go alongside, which will be released in one go. Right? That's what I understand. And the public sale would be 0.035 each, and there would be a bundle price of 6 images taken together. So one edition each of these 6 images, which will cost 0.025 each. So essentially, it's gonna be quite a large bundle, that is 36 into 6. I think around 216 images that's gonna be together in this drop, and it's gonna be like a tech. It's a very very unique way of representing something like this. But my question, there are a couple of things that I actually wanted to talk about. Is one is when you are actually representing, and Mike, if you can quickly open that little document that Yulia had shared with us alongside.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think
That's this one here. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, I might already have it opened up here.
Yeah, it's there.
I think I did, because I don't want to open it again, because then it's going to take the place of. We have to. No, this is her.
No, I think you can just.
I'll copy paste.
Yeah. Because it is important for everybody to look at that how beautifully that a brochure can also be curated beforehand. It is also a very interesting way of representing your thought in form of a brochure. And it shows that Julia actually has quite a bit of knowledge in marketing, PR, and the way she runs you
Yeah,
know yeah, right.
this
So
is
this is a very
cool.
beautiful,
With the
very cool.
barcode, the ticket to the world. Let's take a quick look through it real quick before we get into it.
Yeah.
This is
So see,
cool.
very very cool actually. Exactly how travel agencies design their brochures about. So it shows that she has a very good background about marketing, PR, as well as working with travel brands across the country. It shows through that experience, shows through. Now what my biggest concern here is, Yulia, you had also shared that in your concerns that whether it's gonna uh, confuse the collectors a bit. And let's go down. I will show where the confusion is. A limited edition collection, 6 capsules of 10 by 10 images. This is where the confusion started for me. That okay, Yulia talked about like one destination having 6 photographs of 6 edition seeds. That makes it 36. Now, what is this 10 of 10? That's the first question that I had without consulting Yulia personally. Okay, and then the next part. Just go down a bit. Uh, yeah, that one bundle is selling the bundle pricing. So buy all 6 at 0.15 ETH. Okay, buy 3 at 0.08, buy 2 at 0.06. So why this bracketed pricing? My question is that such high level of bracketed pricing where you can actually very easily give 2 sets. So one is the bundle pricing for one edition, and then that one piece centric pricing. So why do you want to keep so much of variety in your pricing itself? It confuses the collectors. I can talk about it with full conviction because I had also shared something very similar. I had shared a presentation with my collectors, and Mike also got a copy of it. It was very simple that there would be 2 types. One would be the bundle pricing that comes with 10% discount, and then there is a single piece centric pricing, which is very simple to understand. So my question here, Yulia, to you is that are we understanding the plan correct? Is it that every country or every capsule will have 36 images, and you will be releasing one together because there are 3 cities and 3 countries involved? So how is it going to work? If that understanding is correct, then of course you are good to go. But then I still feel that 36 pieces of one country could be a bit of a difficulty. So once you explain that plan a bit, then I will go into the pieces in much more details.
Thank you, Sam. Perfect.
Thank you, Samia. And by the way, you were the inspiration for this material because I was chatting with Emma, and she mentioned that you had a wonderful, you have created a wonderful material that explained your plan. So the inspiration was taken from you. And thank you so much for what you said. Yes, so that's exactly it. So there will be basically in this collection of editions, there will be 6 waves. The first wave will be Chicago. It will have 6 images, and each image will have 10 editions. That's exactly right. So it's basically 36 images after all of them will be released. That's how many images there will be, 36, and each of them will be 10 of 10. So 360 basically at the end. But I'm not planning on releasing them, in the next 4 weeks. This is a long-term project. I wanted to show sort of the plan and the vision for it, but the idea for this is that it would be a long-term project for me. And then for your pricing question, I see now how this is maybe splitting the hair too thin. I wanted to encourage people to buy more than one, but I also see that maybe it's better because the project itself is already quite complicated in the sense that there's a lot of details. So maybe it's better to just have, like you suggested, 2 prices, right? So one is the regular price of an image, which is 0.035. And then one is a bundle pricing for 06, which is 0.025. And that will probably save some confusion for people.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with what I did with bundle pricing, which was influenced by actually Alpha and a few other people that actually gave me some of the insight in how to bundle and stuff like that. Because as far as marketing goes, I'm not the biggest understanding of marketing, so I stick more to art and curation. But the way that I did my bundle, I actually just did one instead. So Sammy did two. That you look like possibly doing three. I did one. So my idea was that so they can buy. So my first drop was 20 images, right? So 10 editions each. That's 200 NFTs. And so with the bundle, they can get all 20 images for 0.5 ETH. So half of an ETH, they can get 20 images rather than getting the images for 0.6. So they save 0.1 ETH and they get all of the 20 images in a bundle at one gas transaction. Now, what that also does is the people who bought the bundle from the first round actually could bundle into all 4 other rounds after that, which means they could own all 100 of my entire Lost in Transit Ferry Series collection. So that was I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but that was a different route that can also be taken. That like you can bundle something to people and then have an incentive that means they could bundle into the next round and the next round and the next round as well.
I love that, Mike, actually, because if you scroll down to the forward, the vision is for people to get the passport to the world, which will be a one-on-one airdrop that you will get if you collect all 6 bundles. So kind of what you're talking about, right? But you're saying that whoever collects the first bundle will be automatically sort of
Yeah.
for the following bundles, right? That's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so for mine, it was like the loyal collectors that were interested in buying the entire series of Lost in Transit could do so if they bought the first bundle, would give them access to get that discounted at every single bundle until the series was 100. And so then they can possibly have a virtual gallery one day with all 100 images from Lost in Transit.
Got you.
And
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and it's just one route, one idea. Yours is another, Sammy's is another, and it's cool because we're innovating the space by like sort of coming up with these ideas and these marketing strategies to incentivize the people who support us, and it's really cool. And so maybe Sammy's right that 3 options is a lot. Considering I have 1 option, considering he has 2. I guess you have to weigh the pros and cons as to why the pros of why 3 is good, and maybe the cons of why 3 might not be. Maybe it's a little more confusing. Who knows?
Yes, and I'm also doing an airdrop. Like on that same page, you'll see that if you enter the bundle, one person gets into a raffle for an airdrop. Although I think now that maybe 3 images is too much. Maybe it's 2 images actually instead of 3. That will be raffled to one bundle holder.
Makes sense. Again, geisha style. This is cool. That's how you say it. That was cool to watch. Sloy could do that with Sabode's collection, where one random person got the one of one. It's very, very cool. I like that. So let's look at the images though. So what you're showing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Mike, yeah, sorry, I was just I was on mute. So one small thing is that whatever you write here, I mean, this is something that I also faced. So this is again something that a real life scenario gave to us, is that whenever you promise a few things, let's do adhere to it. For example, if you're saying that these getting one bundle will get a airdrop, so ensure that once that bundle is collected, we do that airdrop as soon as possible, because once that secondary market starts building, then you often get into a lot of things and we generally miss out on that. It's very human. So that's why I write it down. I have a tracker, and Mike also has a tracker, which I wanted to highlight here, is that whenever those bundles are being occupied, right, keep a tracker. Bundle 1 allocated to this person, link sent on this date, claimed on this date, something like that. I make it as granular as this. That helps us in terms of planning the remaining pieces that are not in bundle. Say
sure.
Right? So that means
sure. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Ah,
Yeah, go ahead.
no worries. So if there's 36 pieces, Yulia, for the first set, so say you have like two bundles that are going out. So 12 pieces are already gone, right? You note down that these are the names of these people, and this is the wallet address of these people for which you're actually giving those bundles for. So the moment it is claimed, you just tick mark them. So that means you're left with 24 pieces. Now you go full on in terms of promoting that and getting the others get into it. So have the tracker ready, and then you can use the same tracker when it comes to the secondary market as well. And Mike did it very well, that how many pieces are listed at what price, and it keeps changing almost every possible day. So I think that's a very efficient way of keeping yourself in track. And you can also maintain this list that whoever has gotten a bundle is now due for an airdrop. You do not miss out on that. So all of these things are very minute things that I keep in. I do maintain. Mike also maintains. So just have everything in place, and the moment your drop starts, that means it's now becoming like a battle of analytics. It's just about analytical. You do a piece, a bundle is sold, you put a tick mark on it. A piece is sold, you put a tick mark on it. So it means that you are actually in track about how many pieces are left and what timeline do you have in mind for a sellout, right? You can do
Yes,
something
and
like that.
these analytics also will help you to be able to let the market and Twitter know like what's going on. And so, for instance, I have my phase 2 out right now, which for Lost in Transit, which you can see the 20 images there, and 80% is collected by bundle. But two whitelisted people who bought off secondary both picked the image opportunist, which was the last image in there. And so now there's none left. So I can see that there's none left. So, my next move would be to go on Twitter and sort of say, post a picture, write a little bit of a story about opportunist and say, 10 out of 10 of these are now collected, but there are more images within the series that have one or two left. And so that sort of builds this momentum, and people see, oh, wow, like these are being collected. And so you can use your own spreadsheets or analytics to be able to also use that towards your own marketing to the community.
Yeah, sounds quite good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see the pieces a bit before we. Yeah.
So I like looking at it better here than I do here, because it throws it off a little bit for me that these aspect ratios are a bit out of the aspect ratio here. At first, when I saw this, I said, "Oh, I don't know if the bird shot fits because everything else is architectural." But then when you look at it here, it could kind of fit, I think, if it's cropped this way. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Sammy?
For me, it still doesn't fit, because
Yeah.
ultimately when she mints it together in a collection, it will still show that it's in the full dimension, full resolution, which means that it is a bit, and not bit, it is actually completely different from that entire mood of that, or maybe that theme of this collection, which is primarily architectural. So this is like, yeah, it's all architecture, it's all geometry, it's all those minimal moments inside geometry, and this is a bit of what do I say, daily life, a bit of street, a bit of patterns in birds or something like that. So which
Yeah.
means that it is absolutely different from the rest. So I think you can try replacing that with a more interesting architectural or geometrical pattern, maybe something in light and shadow, which is missing in this entire collection, but it has some sort of a relevance to architecture. You can think about it, and not just
Yeah.
this, because you have five more cities and countries to cover, right? So this theme should be same across all the 5 countries. That is also a challenge that is in hand. I'm sure you will have all the pictures, but because you have started with architecture, I think the rest of the all the 6 into 5 pieces into the number of editions also have to be of similar theme. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I think
That
they
is,
have to.
sorry.
Sorry. I think
Go
they
ahead.
have to be within a similar theme too, especially if you're dropping them all into the same collection, because once you see them all in the same collection, they should speak to each other. Now, if you're dropping a Chicago collection, an Istanbul collection, I personally wouldn't do that. You probably aren't planning on doing that, because the thing is, then now you spread your collector base through like different. You see a lot of people doing this lately, where they're doing like, this edition name by, you know, whatever artist, and there's only one picture in there. And then they do this edition name, and there's another picture in there. But I would personally rather build my ETH volume over time in one area. I would rather build my full-on collection in one area. I would rather build my owners, my collector base in one area. All of that looks really good when new collectors come in.
Yeah. Julia was saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. This is really great feedback with respect to the bird's image and how it doesn't fit. It's interesting to hear your thoughts on that. If I start with architecture here, that I have to continue with it throughout the rest of the destination, because the way I was envisioning this collection is that it's not so much about the style, it's more about these images represent the spirit of the city or the place somehow. Right, so for me, because Chicago is really the birthplace of architecture in the States, you could argue, right? There are so many great architects that left their marks on this place. That's why it's so architecture heavy. But it's not necessarily that some of the other places in this collection, like Istanbul or Egypt, let's say, you know, that their spirit will be different. And so that's why, that's sort of how I was thinking about it. I'm not too worried that they will have different styles, because visually they will be tied for sure, because this is my look.
Yes.
This is how I see the
Yeah,
world.
And I thought,
exactly.
I thought that
Sorry.
you might say that too. And I was thinking to myself that they don't all have to be architectural. They just have to feel that they all come from Yulia and have maybe the same tonality or the same feeling, right? And so if they can all work in the same collection, then they will all work in the same collection. And maybe the best idea is to create a Dropbox and put all of these different cities and countries collectively in a Dropbox. Maybe use Adobe Bridge and sort the images so that they
Already
work
done
next
that,
to each
Mike.
other.
Already
And,
done
and
that.
there you go. And then share that with some people that you respect their opinion about curation. Maybe you could, you could share it with, you know, me, Sammy, and Alpha, and and Metagirl, Sunny, all the people that have the ability to look at a curated collection and say this works, or that people that are going to be honest with you and say maybe this shot doesn't work, or maybe this, because anybody who tells you, oh, this looks great, this all looks great, it's a nice thing to say, but it's really not helping you in the long run. So I would do something like that.
Appreciate it, Mike. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think, and Mike, this is an interesting example. That's why we actually spent a lot of time talking about it, because here even Yulia might think about, I do not know. I mean, we all have to see about how this entire collection moves forward. If all of these cities are or countries are inside one particular collection itself, I think the narrative has to be really well thought about, because if Yulia doesn't go with architecture shots right throughout, and if she goes into like the essence of a city, like for example, Calcutta's architecture will be very different from what Chicago's architecture is, right? So, or maybe what Calcutta represents in terms of its food, its people could also be incorporated. So, in case that collection is coming out to be like a signature of these particular places, that has to be really well written as a part of the collection narrative. So that's how it can go through, together in one set. Very interesting example, and I would love to see that all the pieces together, how it falls in one line. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Billy Dean. Let me see, one of his collections that he did, created moments around the world. Okay, wait, no, this is a bonus collection. He did a moments around the world, and these are from all different parts of the world, and some of them are portraits, some of them are like environmental, street. There's a whole different there's all different types of stuff he did here, but they're from all different parts of different countries, but they all feel like they fit in the same collection. And I think this is like a good example to go to and look at these and say, okay, how how did he go about doing this and making it feel cohesive throughout? Because I mean, look at this is a picture of what llamas on a mountain, and this is a picture of some people at the beach, someone on a subway, but yet you can look through all of these and say, okay, this is all Billy. And this is why I really respect him as an artist, is he has the ability to be able to do this. I mean, he did this collection. I mean, and this is one of ones, and he's got 89 ETH volume traded. So he's just someone that I would say, go and take a look and get an idea that even though they're all kind of different, that they tie in. So I think that's a good example.
Yeah, superb. All right, I guess we have answered Yulia's question, and would love to see how this entire drop goes in, because this is gonna probably set a good example for people to look at different kinds of work gelling well into one edition collection. So really excited to see how it rolls out.
Thank you so much, Sammy and Mike. Thank you both for your feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for all the help that you've done in the community and AMAs that you've used to help other people. So I'll take this one here. This is Sachin Guy, and Editions by Sachin, a collection made of award-winning and most featured images with multiple editions during my journey of 4 years in photography. I'd love to invite you all to travel and enjoy with me in this beautiful journey and make it much more beautiful and memorable. The magical gaze of silent love, the innocent, unadulterated mind of the kids know the language of love, only that the pure touch of care and friendliness attracts even the animals to feel and reciprocate. And then a story. I was on a visit. You said the name of this before. Kurukshetra, right? India, to capture their annual festival called Gita Jayanti. While covering inside the temple, I came out to capture some streets where I saw this cute kid playing with his puppy. I gave a packet of biscuits to the kid, thinking he might be hungry. He took it and suddenly starts offering the complete packet to the puppy, during which I got this perfect shot. Clicked with which year of the image, click, place, etc. Okay, so here's where this is really ambitious to me. 36 editions of 0.036. And I say that that's really ambitious because we went back and looked at this other work. So tell me, if you tell me the math on 36 at 0.036, what do we get?
It's over 1 ETH. It will be over 1.2 ETH total.
It's all right. So it's over 1.2 ETH. So in that regard, you can make a valuation that if it was a 1 of 1, that possibly it could go for 1.2 ETH. So now we should go look and see at that how they've done in the past. So OpenSea collection, street photography, India, right? So I think I'm just gonna reopen this because I have a lot of tabs open here, so I don't want to confuse myself. Okay, so so he's looking to gain 1.2 ETH, right? But if we look at his collection here, Solitude for Life, which has some beautiful images, his total volume for the whole collection is only 0.37. So he's valuating this edition at 369, three or more times the amount of what he has sold in this entire collection. So, and then if we look and go to his Sloika collection, distinctive frames, then we're looking at a collection that was minted, and these are beautiful images. Love this first one, or these here at the movement, 0.25. Nothing sold in here at all, and so his valuation for his actual edition is higher than his whole career body of work as an artist. And so when I see that, that's where I would certainly pull back and say maybe minting 36 when you haven't been able to sell out one of ones within a one of one market at the time is really ambitious. And so maybe you should do something more like 10 at 0.036. And if you can sell these 10 at 0.036, then you have room to move a bit on secondary with it, maybe get some new collectors involved in your ecosystem that can then bring light to your one of ones that should be collected. And then you can move on to another edition, probably again at 10 and not 36. So this is a good example, I would say, of someone who's trying to do way too many additions at a cost that's a little bit high for that many additions, with a background in the space that just hasn't moved enough to be able to do that. And so with that, Samia, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always important to be realistic with what we actually get, with what we actually deserve, vis-a-vis what we actually aspire for. While I definitely aspire that all of my pictures would go for 1 ETH, but we have to see that if we have to sit there for almost like 2-3 months, or maybe at times 4-5 months, we have seen that with a lot of artists in this space, that they have to really wait long for their images to sell on Foundation. And Mike, you would know for yourself that some of the pieces just don't sell on Foundation. They have to wait for months. And
Yeah.
then a lot of people actually, and even you have done it, a lot of people are considering doing it. And I have seen Vin Maxino also do it. I think you have also done it, that they have burnt one of their one of one pieces on Foundation, that they have actually traded more volume that actually that one of one piece got them in Foundation as it was listed there. So I feel it's important for people to actually be a bit more realistic in terms of the floor moving, and especially in an area when this is probably your first, I think it's his first edition drop, and your Genesis edition drop is very important for people to actually see value in you in the near future, on the newer or the next few drops. So I think the suggestion of 10 editions at 0.036 ETH is a great one. I think you should stick to that. And what I wanted to mention is in terms of the questions, primarily, that the first question is already I answered. It is absolutely fine to burn your unsold one of one and mint it as editions. In fact, I am actually thinking about doing something like that once my roadmap with respect to Split Stories 2.0 is more or less on track. I will probably try one experiment with my one of one on Foundation. I can do that. What will be the maximum edition size and relevant price as per the current edition trend? It doesn't. It actually depends on case to case basis. We have discussed this multiple times in this, that there is no hard and fast rules. People can actually go for larger edition size if they have good traction, good follower base, and of course good sales on their first few one of ones. You can actually do larger edition sizes, and price range. I think, to be honest, it's for bigger collectors, 0.03 and 0.04 don't really matter much. Just that they have to see whether your entire price of the entire set in total must not be like double of your one of one selling price as of now. So this is what you have to keep in mind. Other than that, there is no hard and fast rule. Is it good to share it as pre-sale? If yes, how many days before the actual public launch? Also, it can vary from person to person. If somebody like Mike is doing it, he can maybe even start pre-sale just about 7 days ago, and he can expect to sell out within 2-3 days on pre-sales, because he already has such very good connect with collectors. But it can take more time for many of us, many of you, many of our friends. It can take even weeks to do pre-sale sell out. So think about it. But pre-sales selling out is a good option anyway, because it will create FOMO in the market, and of course it drives secondary. So if you can actually get out maximum pieces in pre-sale, it will work in your favor. So just evaluate the market based on your kind of timelines that you have taken to sell out your one of one, and then evaluate based on that. Okay. Should we mint only one image at a time as edition, or can we mint multiple images too? You can mint multiple images as well, but do ensure that it is not too many pieces at the same time. The idea is the same as we discussed last time around. Do not You can create a collection of editions, but do not do too many editions of it if you are not established yet in the editions market. and how many months we should keep the editions while listing it, I would suggest 6 months. You never know what happens. I was just talking to Mike that maybe there could be that OpenSea is not opening for even a month. So what will happen to your editions, right? So do not keep it for 1 month, keep it for 6 months, and you are safe in that way. If it's collected, very good. If it's not, it will stay there for 6 months, that's for sure. Right, Mike?
Yep, totally agree with all that. Yep. So in your case, in the case of this artist, I would probably do 6 months. In this case of this artist, I would probably only mint one image at a time based on previous sales history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Cool.
All right. Is the person here? Is Sachin here? Just checking. Yeah, he's here.
Yep.
Okay.
So if
Sachin,
Sancho if he wants to come and say anything, that'd be fine. Or feedback.
yeah. Sachin
And if
actually has another edition. I did not know of that. Okay. He did have another one. So he has shared that on our chat. I'll just quickly open it on my end and I'll just see if it has
I could open it on my end. So
yeah. Okay.
okay.
Oh,
Beautiful
okay. Now I
edition.
remember. Yeah.
Beautiful edition. 14 owners. Well, that's the thing. He only listed 15 here. Now he wants to go for 36. I don't know that your newer image is stronger than this one. I like your newer image. I think this one might be stronger though. And you stuck with a lower amount here. You got a good collector base here too. I wish I had saw this one. Pick something look like this. Really beautiful.
Yeah, but then my question again, or rather my doubt is that whether that picture that we just
Will
saw,
fit
whether it
here.
fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So that's what you got to think about. Additions by Sachin, right? And I don't think that means that you could just drop a bunch of pictures in here that like kind of look different from each other. Like it's going to be tough because now like it should still look kind of cohesive. Should still feel like it's from the same artist. This shot doesn't feel like it's from the same artist as the one feeding the kid. So that's yeah. So, but it's
So
kind of a
I mean, I think it's the message is very clear. Of course, I guess that's how it is. Even when it comes to foundation collections, right? So a lot of people had asked this question, or rather used to ask this question very regularly, that why did foundation also go into a collection mode, and why is that that one of one as an individual one of one, why doesn't it still appear? So the idea is very simple: is that the probably all the platforms want the artist to be a bit more focused towards having cohesive bodies of work, at least inside a package or inside a little collection that we see across all the platforms essentially right now, and even with foundation coming in. So even with additions, this is what I feel, that even if the name says Sachin's editions, or maybe Sammy's editions, or maybe Mike's editions, I think these should not be treated as absolutely working in silos. They have to have a connection to it. I am not saying connection in terms of just looking similar to each other, but whether they actually in total they actually say a strong story, or they actually show
feeling,
your
yeah,
work. Yeah,
feeling similar to each other. They don't have to look similar, but they should feel similar to each other in a sense that it comes from Sanchin and that it feels like a piece of his work.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I think
Yes,
we
if
move on
Sachin
to the
wants to
next
talk.
one. If he
Sure.
doesn't have anything. Yeah. And this is Mehmet. And okay, so Mehmet additions. The streets tell us the true face of the moment we live in. A contrast from the harmony of opposites comes life. Should I add a new addition that I think you meant to say complements each other? So this is one that's already already minted. So let me open this in a new tab.
Okay, before that, I think Sachin had asked
Okay.
whether should he create um, another collection for the second edition? What is your opinion?
Wait, say that again. Should he create another collection?
Like for the second edition piece. I mean, he wants to create another a separate collection for this new work that he shared with us.
I mean, that's a tough question to ask. I mean, then you gotta change the name of your first collection from Editions by Sanchin to the name of the actual piece from that one, and then every separate collection you make is gonna have to just be about that one piece. The thing about doing this is you're never going to really have a large ETH volume traded in that section, and you're never going to really have a ton of collectors in that section. The way me and Sammy are doing it, over time, you're going to see our collector count go up a lot because we're keeping it in the same place. I'm keeping it within the same manifold smart contract. Every edition that I come out with there, in the long term, it's going to look a lot better as an artist than what you're trying to do is separating them. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think Sachin, what you can essentially do is that, I mean, because you have already dropped something like this, like a black and white collection, just a thought. In case you want to just consider it, you can have, like, in my opinion, you can have like two different collections. One where you can purely put in black and white, because black and white in itself gives you a lot of spectrum, and you can actually go ahead with various kinds of black and white photography, but still they will look cohesive. This is an advantage. And the other one, you can actually do like street photography editions with Sachin, something like that, because I've seen your work before. So that way you can have like two editions going ahead. One will be like a black and white, purely black and white about whatever you want to drop in, and the other one, because I don't see, if you want to stick to this piece that you have presented here, I don't think that goes at all with this entire set. So that's the reason why we are suggesting this. Okay, I hope that answers.
I'm just getting rid of some of these tabs right now.
It's annoying you, I can understand.
A little bit.
Yeah. All right.
I think. Yep. I think
Yeah.
these are all three from him. So, yep. And we wanted
Yeah.
to talk about some of this stuff on Instagram. That's really fantastic. All right. So yeah. So he's So first of all, the price. And edition size 5 of 5. Yeah, that's really attractive to collectors. That price is also really attractive at that size. Image is cool, but as we looked at some of your other work, we both thought that you've had stronger work within your one-on-one pieces, and we looked through some of these here. And you haven't sold any yet. You haven't sold any of the pieces you have listed yet. So if you wanted to, you could always replace that with something else. Was this amendment also? No, this one's not. And so, looking on your Instagram here, there's so many beautiful pieces, and I think I was just looking through, and I was like, I pulled one of them up. The one, like, I pulled up this one, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, this would be a really great addition piece. I personally think that this is a better piece than this one, to be honest. I think it's I don't know. In a sense, I think that it's more grown. It's more intelligent of a piece. I see that in a lot of your work. This is really interesting with all the shadow play. This shadow is from this man here. This shadow, we can't even see who that's from, or the one that this from. You have a lot of really, really interesting street work that I think that would work better as an addition than the current photo that you have. I just want to be honest with you.
And Mike, we were also discussing about this, that at times we often are not clear about what are our strongest bodies of work, or what exactly is the strongest work that we have, right? We often think that maybe this one will work, but essentially when we actually go back, and this is not just for NFTs, this is also for competitions, exhibitions that we often curate. whenever we ask people to send some of their best works, eventually they will send something that um, that we could, even we as people who have never seen into their work, might think that, okay, no, is this that best work that we are talking about? So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, this is where I think we as an artist must go through our archives very, very frequently. You know, I don't think we do that. Even I probably in the recent past I'm doing it because I'm doing those diptychs. That's how I am actually getting more and more deeper into my own body of work. But eventually, what is important that we all of us do that. And
Mhm.
if you look at this piece as well, I and Mike were talking about it, that we can actually do a bit of a better cropping in this piece to make it more impactful. Like some, if you can crop a bit from the lower half,
I think
you will see.
if it was
Yeah,
cropped here, if it was cropped here and here, I mean, this would remove the bird, but that, let's
yeah,
just take a look at what it does for like the geometry of it. Look at that. Like
yeah.
yeah, I
We
mean,
don't we don't need that bird. We don't need that bird actually.
I like this crop better. I love how it's completely split now, and let's look at the old one. Yeah, it's cool with the bird, but like, actually, I'd rather see that on white. Yeah, but like where you cut it here, it just it looks better on the eye when it's when it's sliced from a sharp edge, like here, and then when
Yeah,
it's sliced from a sharp edge here. And we were talking, we didn't know if this bird was really flying by during the skater's moment or if it's a composite or whatever. I'm unsure about that, but maybe other people have a different opinion about where it should be cropped. But that's personally where I would have cropped it. I do still think even with the crop, um, you've got some really, really, really strong stuff. Like, look at these photos, like on your Instagram, like that are just you know
I
some of
think
them.
Mike, he has a great potential for a legacy project, and one pieces
Oh
each,
yeah,
one piece
he
each.
yeah he could do an additions project like we are
Yeah,
with street
street
stuff.
animals, street
Yeah,
animals. Look at so many animal pictures in there. Oh, yeah.
he does. He has a lot of animals in here too. Um,
Look at that expression of the dog. He's just not interested.
this is great. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dog was not interested. Uh,
So actually, he
lots.
has a niche. He has a signature style of his own, and
Oh yeah.
a lot of it with cats and dogs and stuff. So I think he has a great potential. If he does one piece each, and he has a strong roadmap that how many pieces would he have in total, and how many days would be in between drops, and how many editions, I think he can actually make that first inroad into his NFT sales through editions itself.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
feel.
mean, I think even this photo here would actually work as a better addition than the one that he currently has. I feel like a lot of people could relate to this feeling, if you're going to do just one edition. But yeah, if you do a collection of them, like his compositions are great. The way he sees dimension, especially, and look at this, like really great
Yeah.
ability to see dimensions and playful scenes, and he's just really great stories. So this is a case where I just think that Mehmet, you didn't personally see your best potential for your image, and you're lucky because you didn't sell any yet, so you could literally delist and delete this if you want to. Maybe other people have a different opinion, but this is mine and Sammy's opinion. I would start over with something better. That's more that goes along more with the lines of what you're really good at and what you do. This is a little outside of that. This seems a little bit more geometrical and minimalist than the stuff that you do, where you bring in multiple elements and you still create a beautiful, simple image with multiple elements rather than this minimal stuff.
Yeah. And one more thing I think we observed, Mike, was that he did not have his Twitter linked with his OpenSea. Most probably, he's the one.
Yes, does not. So you don't have your Twitter. All you have it is
Yeah.
an Instagram. Damn here. So all we could do is pull up your Instagram and see what you had there.
Yeah.
So
And
we
by the
did
way, his
that.
one of one collection is simply amazing. The one of one collection he has up on OpenSea.
It really
Um,
is. Oh,
it's
this
an
one here.
amazing collection.
Such strange scenes. Love them. I really just keep getting drawn to this. It's so wild. And I know you like masks. You have that series with the masks too. I love this guy with the umbrella. Look at his reaction. These are wild. They're very gritty, raw images. Love them.
So I think this person has a very strong future, very well defined future in NFTs. Probably it's taking a bit of time, but because the body of work is strong, probably this AMA will help him immensely in streamlining his thoughts and getting that act together. So I'm really looking forward to him making a good mark in the black and white photography segment of NFTs. So I hope he understands that potential that he has and he utilizes that to full effect. That's it.
Absolutely. Cool. I don't think we have anything else on this one.
But I did not understand the question that he had for us. So in case
what is this, says no not, or is it okay for me to work for print? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I think this shot here is not showing your highest capabilities as an artist. And so while you have the chance, you could still remove from OpenSea and you could start with something new. Hopefully you take that feedback well. The pricing is really attractive. Some of those other pieces that you have, I might raise the price a little bit if it's just maybe go 0.03 for that or something. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, we'll move on to the last one here. You want to take this one?
Yeah, for sure. So before anything else, I just wanted to ask in case the artist is here. I don't think he's there, but if somebody actually understands or analyzes photography very closely, I would probably think that there's something that's very strikingly wrong about this image. Could be complete. I mean, our assumptions could be completely wrong, but had the artist been here, probably would have explained and understood it better. But if you look at the picture closely, the foreground and the background and everything, every element that is there in the frame, it does look like the birds are actually not real. Okay, probably they have been added in post processing because it's purely because of the idea of depth of field. If depth of field is used, or maybe if a 85 mm or a 50 mm lens is being used, then and the birds are in a distance, they also have to be blurred. It is appearing that they're pretty much in focus, so it cannot happen. So in such cases where you actually do, I mean, this is just a suggestion from my side, and Mike was also on the same page when we talked about it, is that something like this has to be mentioned very carefully or very clearly in this description, that this is like a digitally manipulated stuff. Because if it's claimed that it's a documentary shot, then of course it is not correct. And again, all the principles of photography hold, even in case of NFTs, that it has to be, if it's a documentary shot, it has to be something that is not digitally manipulated. So if that is the scenario, then I feel that it has to be clearly stated. If it's not stated, then of course I'm not going to buy it. That is 100% true. And we looked at every bit of it. We actually went deeper into into the collection description. We did not find anything like this. Okay, now let's come to that the other part of it, that what has been his journey so far. How has he fared in the NFT space? We saw that he's in his foundation collection.
Look at this photo.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, Mike was very excited looking at it. Even I thought it was like a screen grab from a movie.
Yeah,
and that price of 0.30, I mean,
look at this,
I
0.3. If he burned this should be the edition. I would in this season right now, this season, burn this, and I would make an edition that gets you over 1 ETH on this image. I think you could easily get over 1 ETH on this, making an edition. I don't think that the correct image was chosen for the edition. I'm just being honest here. Depth of field seems a bit strange, a bit off for me. I like the idea of the photo. I wish that the depth of field was the same all the way through. But man, I mean, some of the other work from this artist, this is more work from the artist. I'm really drawn to. It's really fantastic. Would love to see some of these burned and maybe made into an edition. But I keep going back to this stuff here on Foundation. Gorgeous photographs that you might sit here for a long time trying to get even 0.3 ETH. I burnt just about everything I own on Foundation. And so, yeah, I'm just going to be honest with the feedback here. I'd love to see some of those as an addition. I think that you'd have sold. I think you'd have sold them a lot faster than. Let me get rid of some of these.
Yeah,
Than
for
what
sure.
than what we have going on here with two owners, right?
Yeah,
So
so the ones who actually got it, I mean, of course, now that they have got those pieces, you cannot disregard this. But if I were you, probably I would have started a completely new set of completely new collection, and would have started off with those award-winning pictures, because you have written that in the foundation description that those are your award-winning shots. So again, I mean, iterating the same fact that these pieces have to be your strongest. That's how you will make more money out of them. Point three, and Mike is absolutely correct. I would have made one, even one ETH from that picture. So I would rather start another fresh collection of editions, and start with these 2 or 3 pieces. What is also interesting is, he wrote something which I did not understand, that I want to give robotic coding training to my students with this version, and some of the income I get from my other work. So what should I do to make my version reach more collectors? So see, I mean, if you want to do something for the society, it's more than welcome. You can definitely utilize, all of the income that you are making towards education, towards healthcare, towards any societal aspect. But the most important part is that you have to sell it. You have to make money before your dreams come true, right? So for that, whatever Mike has suggested is absolutely right. Even if you feel that though you have more stronger work that are not yet minted on Foundation, put that. If you feel strongly against burning pieces, we have nothing to say. That's your decision. If you feel that there are more award-winning work, please put it up there. But be rest assured that whatever is good will definitely sell. Not probably this is not the right choice of an image, in our opinion. And just one last thing about print size. I don't think it is too important. It's good to have it in the properties. You have mentioned it very dedicatedly here. I mean, that's why I wanted to say it's a property that you can have in the properties tab, when you actually define all the properties either in manifold or you do it manually. But there is no need to mention it very specifically out here. I mean, to be honest, doesn't
let,
really matter.
let me ask you something. One of the best photographs that I have for Lost in Transit that will come later, I can't find the original. I think it got erased from a hard drive. And so the print size that I have, or the dimensions on it, is like 1800 by 12 something. Is that enough to still make an NFT and show in someone's virtual gallery and be enough resolution? Because the image is so good that I still want to have it in my collection. It'll be the only one that's not 300 DPI and a super high resolution. Like, what do you think about that, Sammy, since we're on the topic?
Well, to be honest, it has happened to me as well. I lost a hard disk, recently, and there are certain raw and unprocessed JPEGs in it. So to be honest, it is disheartening for an artist to lose out on that in file 300 DPI file. But NFTs give us that opportunity to even go without it, because these are all virtual galleries. To be honest.
So as long
Um,
as I put that in my properties that the size is the real size,
yeah,
then I'm just worried that if they put it in their virtual gallery,
yeah.
so when they put it in their virtual gallery, it should still show the same resolution as if I made it the biggest on my screen, right? As long as it shows a good resolution on my screen when I make it the biggest, it should show good in their virtual gallery, correct?
Yeah, it will look good on a virtual gallery. Of course, because
Yes. Okay.
that's not gonna take like the size of your entire say a huge wall, like a 36 into 40 inches of dimension, right? That's not going to be as huge. So if it's a digital display, I think it's still fine. But it's obviously better to have a 300 dpi ready. So for me, I mean, I wrote to you on a thread that I obviously never upload 300 dpi as an NFT. It will always be something like a 240 dpi or a 180 dpi. and if somebody asks for it, I will then send across the 300 dpi across. Else my entire OpenSea becomes very slow. My 300 dpi images are almost 60 MB in size, right? So I do not want the collector to come up there and wait there for ages for my picture to load. That is like a
Yeah,
big turn.
this is the one. This is the picture. So it shows fine on here, right?
Absolutely, it does show completely fine.
Okay, so and then I like it a lot. So it'll still be in my collection, but I'm just gonna put that dimensions are what they actually are. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure that that'll still show good in someone's virtual gallery since we were on that topic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think his edition and edition size and price is very good. And you know, at least he didn't name the collection his name and editions. He actually named it Onion Harvest. So once Onion Harvest sells out, he can make like an edition collection with some of his really strong stuff, like these images here, right? And you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but like I would burn these on a day when gas is really cheap. I burned some stuff like $1.50, like $1.50 USD, and then I made an edition of 50, and I made over an ETH on that edition instead. And yeah, it made a lot of sense for me. So yeah, that's personally what I would do. Get that one sold out, and then you'd be able to do something like that. So.
Okay, let's quickly because we are done with with our this batch of AMA pre-mint, but let's have a few questions. There are a few questions in the chat box. Yeah. So
Would
Ayush had
love
asked
that.
a question that is it too late to enter this particular edition's wave? I talked to Alpha Sir and he said that, I mean, for the first time I'm hearing somebody calling Alpha as Alpha Sir. He said that the collectors he know of are fatigued. What's your view on this? Do you think somebody is fatigued? I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I think some people are fatigued. I mean, yeah, this market right now could be a little bit exhausting and fatiguing, but I mean, at the same time, it's your intentions, it's how you do it. You know, Sonny was giving me advice the other day about, you know, promoting, you know, it's a soft market right now. So, you know, talk about the art. You know, like I've been trying to just talk about the art more, not about promotions and incentives and stuff like that. It could look a bit desperate in a market like this when it's like that. So I would say, yeah, it's fine. I don't think you're late. I think make it about the story. And yeah, and it's all has to do with your intentions. I mean, people are going to tell you you're late all the time, and then you're going to miss an opportunity because someone else said that you're late. I mean, there's no rules here. I mean, look at Rizikhan. He's doing things that people say, oh, you know, that ain't gonna work. You can't make a video NFT and sell it for 10 ETH, or you can't you can't do just a poster that says the name of your book and sell it for 10 ETH, and then somebody gets a copy of it. That's not going to work. And he's going and he's doing it anyway, and it's working. So make it work for you. You know, it's all about your intentions and being passionate about what you do. As long as you love what you do and believe in what you are doing, then other people are going to believe in what you're doing. If you're asking questions about should I do this or am I too late, it kind of shows a bit of sign of a weakness. Like don't get in that realm where you're asking questions like this. Know that your work is amazing work. Always believe in your work and put it out there. You know, you take some advice from some of the stuff that we gave during this. There are no rules to any of this stuff, but learn from some of the mistakes that people have made. But no, I don't think it's too late. I think quality work wins when it comes at the end of the day. Like I look at edition sizes and I look at price, but man, if the work really stands out to me, like Jack Simpson, I believe right now, recently he burned his super rare piece, and then he did an edition piece, and the price is like yeah, I'm sorry, 0.15. It's almost like the price of a one of one, but his work is the shot is so good that like I'll buy it anyway. Like so, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I don't think it's too late. I think quality work and your intentions go really long.
Yeah, I think this is true. It's never too late. I think when a lot of people, when I entered into the NFT world just about 4 months back, a lot of people probably would have thought. In fact, I heard a few things saying, few people discussing that maybe you are late into the NFT world, but no, I mean, it's always there. There would be somebody who was before you, but then it doesn't really kill your chance, your opportunity to actually make big in this market. So and there were people who had started the NFT journey almost 9 months before us, before me, rather. And even
Yeah.
Subodh, I think Subodh is the one. I and Subodh more or less joined at the same time, just about like 3-4 days here and there. So I feel it's not really about time. And I know for a fact that a lot of people did editions very successfully even before this entire wave came in. They were pretty much successful even with that. And even though that, I think now what is going to happen is one of one and editions might just go hand in hand. This is what could happen. If editions have like a very strong piece going and they have the good plan, good roadmap ahead, they're going to still survive, and one of one is going to again pick up. That's what I'm pretty hopeful about. It's going to be a hybrid market. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I don't think additions are going anywhere. I think that this market downturn just sort of solidified the fact that like additions belong in this market, especially in times like this. And that when we go back to a bullish market, I think one of ones pick up again, and I think additions still do well if you still have a good vision about your addition plan. So I think they're both here to stay. Like I said, there's no rules; it's all art. And we're making those rules right now. Like this is the beginning of something that's extraordinary and amazing and a revolution. And just coming together as MetaJungle, just watching what MetaJungle's doing and the people who run MetaJungle and the collectors that are involved with MetaJungle and the information that they're giving to us to help us artists that don't know everything about marketing and innovation and stuff like that. And then us as artists taking the risks to innovate collectively as MetaJungle, like we're changing the course of this entire space and ecosystem, and we're changing it for the better. And it's amazing to see that happening right now. So like everyone is involved in it. Everyone that's here listening, everyone who takes place here, like it's a beautiful thing. And so don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to where other people are at. Like everyone is on a different wave at a different time, and it's really destructive to get caught in sort of an aspect of jealousy. Like, why is this person able to do this and I can't, and etc. And so, rather than that, celebrate other people because their wins in the space equals your wins in the space, because it's such a niche thing and it's such at the beginning right now. And you'll notice that if you showcase and celebrate others, that they will showcase and celebrate you, and collectively it just becomes an amazing venture for all of us. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I have to say about that. Mhm.
And of course, as I said, Alpha Sir, Emma Ma'am, Mike Sir, all the sirs and ma'ams are gonna guide us right throughout. And believe me, what has happened with MetaJungle and the entire family is that we have been discussing a lot about how to go ahead with stuff, and we have been continuously brainstorming about what to do. Yes, as what to do as a go ahead, what to not do, what to actually streamline a bit. So I feel that we might conclude this by saying that you can always reach out to collectors depending on how or in what way you are actually pitching your idea. When I was talking to Emma about my idea, Emma asked me a lot of questions, and that's how the entire idea of having like a PowerPoint presentation came to my mind. That if Emma has so many questions, why don't I address all of these so that the others do not actually come back with exactly similar questions? So why not create a deck where all the answers are there, right? So all these conversations, even where this entire conversation is going, about the questions that were asked and the way that we had answered it, maybe a lot of people who attended this particular session will probably address those even before they were asked to them by the collectors themselves. So everything, actually comes down to how much of information do you actually absorb and how much do you contextualize to your own benefit, or how much is it suitable for you. So I think we might conclude by saying that it's definitely gonna be a wild ride. A lot of new things are coming up. I know for a lot of very interesting projects coming up. By this edition, by this AMA edition, we actually got to know so many beautiful projects coming up, and I really hope to see all of them really doing well. And I'm looking forward to collecting at least some of them from what we analyzed today. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I'd also end on this idea that like having a specific date for your drop of your edition is not always the best idea with the market climate that we have right now. Maybe it's a better idea to give an idea on the time that it's going to come out, but I was really successful with that Chinatown drop that I did of 50 editions on that specific day because gas was so obnoxiously low. And so I think timing when you're actually going to drop your editions is obviously before even timing that is reaching out to collectors and friends and whitelisting them and getting a good portion of it sold out beforehand, but then dropping to the public when it's actually a good time for them to buy. Because think about it, the public is buying editions right now because they're cheap. So why would they buy editions when gas is super high? Because that just counters what they're doing it for. So I would look at that too, and not put anything in stone and say I'm releasing on this exact day, and sort of feel it out, and have your people ready and the army behind you ready that are looking to collect from you, and then know the day when it's a good day and drop it that day.
Yeah, very important. And I just remembered that while we were discussing about my launch, Mike also asked me one question which probably never appeared in my mind, that which day of the week are you actually planning to drop it? And it's important. It's very important to see which days in it. It's ultimately, see, Twitter, Instagram, all of these are social media channels, and they work differently on different days. For example, weekends are often pretty slow on any of the platforms. Even Instagram is slow, Twitter is slow on weekends. People are probably out, they're celebrating with their families, etc., etc. But I can say from my example that I am a working person, and I surf Twitter and Instagram more on weekdays than on weekends. So which means, and of course that could be different from people, person to person, and everything you get to see in your insights tab, that which day is your audience most active, which hour of the day is your audience active, and probably which day of the week did you post an image and it went viral. So all of these things have to be kept in mind, because ultimately you will need the community to support you. When you put your announcement tweet, it has to go through the maximum number of people, it has to get the maximum retweets as well. So all of these equations have to be actually worked upon, and that doesn't happen in one day. So yeah, it's so many things are involved in
Yeah.
launching a successful edition.
Yeah, make sure too that that your edition that you're launching is in your Twitter bio, that it only takes one click to get there. Also, what was I gonna say? Geez, I had another point too about yeah, making it simple for people to be able to get to your body of work is having all those links. Like when I go to somebody's OpenSea and I can't find your Twitter and I can't find all this stuff, and trying to keep your name the same across all boards, or even on Discord, sometimes I open people's profile on Discord. You could write information about your, like, I just opened up I use clicks, use clicks, and he has his link tree right in there. That's perfect. Like stuff like that is super important. It's like these little things that people overlook that are really important. Like having information ability for people to click and just get to things, get to your work easily.
Yes, a lot of very interesting pointers being talked about by Mike. I hope you guys are actually making notes. Of course, this video will be also published on YouTube, but it's always better to actually make notes. I love making notes on paper myself. I have a diary when I actually keep everything noted. And yeah, I mean, just reiterating on one last point is, do maintain that spreadsheet or the Excel where you actually note down who are your bundle collectors. I would have probably shared mine, but then let it be. I mean, probably I'll share a format with you guys in case anybody's interested. Could be an open spreadsheet format, which really worked well for me, because what happens is, if you are launching a huge sized edition like what Mike did, or for me even 50 was a lot of pieces. I mean, it was not a challenge to actually sell them off, but it was more of a challenge to maintain the bundles first and then get them out to those individual set of people, and actually um, to make them buy all of these within that stipulated period of time. That was the major concern that I had in mind. So yeah, one small thing about bundles is that if you are making exactly the same bundle with same names and the collections, and if you're reserving it for a particular wallet, you might not be able to see all of those wallet reserves at the same time. So OpenSea often doesn't show you all the people for which wallets you're actually listing it for, which means that you should not get bogged down, because all these at the back end, that's all sorted. So whatever wallets you are reserving your bundles for still remains intact. You might not be able to see it, but the ones for which you are actually listing it for, they will be able to see it the moment they actually get into their wallets. But your Excel sheet has to be really strong. It has to be really well maintained, that you know which particular date are you going to send the bundles to these to the collectors. The collectors need to get it at the lowest gas fee, as Mike has already mentioned.
Yeah.
So you should
On
not
this
be
on this
worried about
topic,
it.
because I don't want to forget about this. On this topic of bundles, this is really important. Make sure that your collectors that are buying bundles get the bundles before anyone else, before anyone who's whitelisted, before anything goes public. Because here's why. If your project goes public and one of those people did not buy their bundle, the OpenSea will let their bundle sell to the public. That had happened to me on my first release, that somebody didn't buy the bundle in the time frame in which they were supposed to purchase the bundle, and the work was selling so fast to the public market that OpenSea let their bundle pieces be sold. So a bundle doesn't mean that it's specifically reserved. It'll allow it to sell out. So I learned a lesson from that. And my lesson now is that I am not releasing to the public until everyone who's with my bundle has already been sold out, because I didn't know that could happen. And then also, and the people that you have whitelisted come second to the bundles. The bundles sell out, and you want to have all this math written down in an Excel spreadsheet or notes, or the best way for you to do it, so that you don't have to wind up telling someone, hey, your piece got sold because I didn't do the math correctly.
Yeah, I think that gives me this opportunity to share with everybody that OpenSea, you know, it's at times very funny that even if the number of copies are like 10, it will give you the option to actually hit the sell button as many times as you want. It has happened to me because I was doing a trial run just to see that I do not make a mistake. And as Julia was actually writing to me on DMs, it was extremely nervous those times. It was nervous for me, and that's why I had sent a long voice note to Mike, and Mike was on a holiday, so he could not probably respond. But I figured it out myself. But it was quite nervous. That you know, actually, what happens is that you can actually list or mint more pieces than you actually defined as copies on OpenSea. It's a very funny thing, but it actually happens. So you have to keep track on the number of times you hit that sell button. Okay, that is exactly the reason why Mike is suggesting that all the bundles should be actually given off to the collectors to be claimed first. So say out of all these 10, say you have like a 10 piece edition of 5 pictures each, which means, and that means that you also have 5 bundles to go alongside. So get those 5 bundles out of your picture first, get those claimed, and that's why you start early. So for me, my collectors got my bundle at least 5 days prior to that public launch. Okay, So even if they take like 2 days to see the gas going down, they will still have those 3 days beforehand to actually be relaxed and claim their bundle. And just after they claim their bundle, then only I started listing these individual pieces to the individual wallets, so that none of the pieces inside the bundles get claimed. And believe me, it can happen that even your bundle holders, though you reserve it to a wallet, the pieces can still be claimed. This is how OpenSea works. So give your bundle holders that timeline, that leverage to actually claim their bundles beforehand. It is a bit stressful to begin with, but be rest assured. Now I am very confident. Now even Mike is very confident, even with 200 pieces going their way.
I'm confident because I know that my bundle holders are not going to list them for sale until I go public. But I don't know that some of the people that I whitelist, I might send them the image and then they might just put it up for sale. And then I don't want things going sale until there's a public sale. So you have to have this open communication with people, because that can totally happen. So have a pyramid of priority. And this is Kuman's way of saying to close it up.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it like that.
All right. But cool. I guess we'll end it there. I hope you guys had a great time. This is definitely up there with one of the best AMAs I think we've had, and I think this information is super important right now for a lot of people, because it's a trying time, and we're all taking risks and we're all doing new things and building this together. So thanks for being here, and cool. See you guys next week.
Agree with you, Mike. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'm on that. I am out.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.